Cool. Hello, this is a design stream, and this week we'll be looking at the Theatre of Blood boss, Sotetseg. Sotetseg is a dark beast that's been experimented on in the theatre by Lady Verzig and her minions, and he looks very cool, but we'll get to that in a moment. First off, let's go through the guest list. Starting off, we have Modwolf.
Hello, you alright?
We're taking your questions over the next half an hour. Then we have Mod Aiza at 2:30 onwards, and then we have the legendary Mod Ash.
The Mod Ash.
At 4 PM, and then we'll be getting into the dev Q&A as usual.
You know, we're so lucky we get to work with somebody like Ash.
We are very lucky.
We are very lucky.
Cool.
That came across a lot more sarcastic than it was intended to. You know, I realised the other day that I said something, and I was like, wow, I'm really excited about that. And someone was like, are you? And I was like, no, I'm being serious. I am excited. But you know when it comes across like that?
The worst thing you could possibly try to do in this world is be sincere, I think.
I know, because you
People
try...
just take it the wrong way.
They do. They do.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to the cam. There we go. It worked. Okay, so here we have the Dark Beast. Everyone knows the Dark Beast. Then we have its successor, the Night Beast, which came with Superior Slayer. Then we have Sotetseg, who's a monster of a Dark Beast.
Pretty big.
Yeah. He's so big that he needed extra tusks to make him feel even bigger.
Just make it really big.
Yeah. So that's the creature that we'll be animating today. I should show you at the top just here. So this one's got like a weird bony spine. This guy's not got his spine exposed. He's got hair around the back, and he's got tusks, and the tusk move with the jaw.
Is
and
that
stuff.
an exposed
really
spine?
Good. It was on that one, yeah.
I always thought it was just very limited poly levels of hair.
Oh, really?
I thought it was like fur.
No.
It's just what I thought. Yeah.
It never was. Did anyone else think that was fur?
Don't ask them that, because they're gonna go no.
I want to know if everyone else thought that was fur. I was going, I'm glad I did that spine. I always thought that looked really cool.
Sorry.
And everyone's like, oh, he's got a ponytail.
No, not just me. Okay.
People want the mammoth design stream. I'd love to redesign that mammoth.
Oh, that man's so ugly.
We have to poll it though. We can't just go around sort of changing assets.
No, we can't. But I think a lot of people probably agree it's one of those that's not the prettiest of assets.
Although I'd love a 3D print of it. Just to kind of...
it would be so flat.
It would be terrible.
You know, like those like weights that you have, like paper weights, like the wooden elephants. Yeah. You get stuff like it'll remind me of that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So moving away from the mammoth, we'll just deal with this. So I'm going to go into the animator. This is going to be an animation stream, by the way, just so you know. The Dark Beast is just here. It's called Dark Beast Update. That was done back in 2005, maybe, or 2007.
I'm going to go ahead and just answer the questions being spammed right now. Just to answer it. The World 47 Deadman mode thing, there has been something released. I believe Mod Aiza posted on Reddit and explained exactly what happened. There was, I think, 3 people affected, 2 of which are being investigated in our team because they're probably not legitimate players anyway who died, and then one of them did legitimately die, and we're working on giving them their stuff back, or at least what we can. So yeah, Mod Aiza, if you can find the link, please do post it. But that's all we're going to say about World 47 the entire stream, okay? That's it. And now we're going to get questions about the Theatre of Blood and animation work from Mod Ghost. Please don't spam him. It's not something that you can help with. It's not really something I can help with. Thank you.
I can help you with almost nothing.
There we go. I'm
very sorry. I'm quite useless in that respect.
Sorry, I just wanted to save you from that chat spam for the next 3 hours that you'd be dealing with.
You've got nothing to be sorry for. It's fine.
Oh, you said my real name.
I know.
I said Jet. It's fine.
Everyone's
I call you
gonna
Gareth
stalk
as
you
well.
now.
I know. Oh, they can't hear me. Damn it! After all that.
Cool. So let's just go to Sotetseg. Let's save this quickly because I don't want to show the spoilers. And I'll just move this over here a bit. Okay, so I'm going to close this just here, and we'll go to the Dark Beast update, and I'll show you his walk animation. So this is Dark Beast, how he just walks back and forth. Other guy's in the way. Hang on. Let's just turn him off. There we go. So he's moonwalking a bit there. That's just had to do some crazy stuff to make the two appear side by side in the editor, just to illustrate this. That's generally what he looks like when he walks. So I can get him to move. There we go. It doesn't really help.
Is there anything rune crafting related in the new raid in Theatre of Blood? I think you're referring to maybe a couple of weeks ago we had a question on the Q&A that asked if you could have like a vampirical pouch to hold more pure essence, and we said no. It's a fully linear, very combat focused raid, Theatre of Blood. So
yeah, it's completely linear.
So no, there is no kind of skilling reward associated with it.
Cool. All right, so just quickly, then I'll let Modwolf take your questions. I'm actually just going to be reworking the walk today on this NPC. So if I just make him walk now, you can kind of see what I've done with that. So it'll be a lot smoother, and his foot won't kind of clip into the floor, like you can see just there with the Dark Beast and stuff. And he'll really kind of like swagger and reach forward, very sort of like almost like a gorilla in a respect, and his hands will kind of claw into the ground and stuff. And it will feel a lot more expressive than the original. So I'll be doing a walk. If there's enough time later, I'll kind of do a basic idle, and then I'll do the special attack. Over to you, Modwolf.
I had a challenge for you, actually.
Oh, okay, what's that?
With his walk animation, I was thinking the other day, if you bake into his model the like dirt of the floor, could you animate it to appear when he actually claws along, so it looks like he's digging into the ground?
That would be
How sick would that be?
Nice. Okay, yeah, I can.
Okay, cool. There we go. Did it? Yes.
I do that.
But now you're gonna have to model that in. Sorry.
I don't mind. I've got bits of dirt that I can add in, I suppose.
There we
But
go.
I don't know if I'll do it in this session though.
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
I will.
It's fine.
I will do my best to do it though. I will do it. No, do my best means I won't do it.
No,
I will
no.
actually do it. I will do it.
The one of the best things about models that have things that appear from them, like Jad when he stamps on the ground, and I was about to leak something. I'm trying to think of another thing that uses like the wilderness bosses, how the spores are always animated, like always there. The thing that appears below them is always there, but you animate it to be invisible. And similar with Jad, when you put the model of Jad in, he's got these like glowing giant things here when he stamps on the ground.
Yeah, that's right. So like the reason why that's important is, say with that shadow just there, like if you see all these people, all these dark beasts side by side, this one feels like it's actually grounded with the environment. So by even adding something simple like a shadow, you actually feel like the two are kind of interacting with one another. So those sort of things like the dirt coming out of the ground when he digs his claws in, it just sells it a lot more, and it makes it feel like everything's more cohesive and joined together. So I'm a big fan of that, and I've got plenty of polys left.
Yeah. So there's a question for you from Ortega. How long have you worked at Jagex?
It's coming up to 5 years soon that I've been here. I know, you've almost been here 5 years as well.
I have. I joined like 6 months after you.
Yeah. So.
That was fun. I remember being introduced to you because you started in QA, right? Mm-hmm. And Scott Modcoco was walking me around and going, "This is this and this is that," as you do when you join. And we got to Gareth and like, "This is Gareth." And I think you were on a contract at the time, or were you full-time?
I was working with a temp company when I first arrived here.
And I was like, "This is Gareth," and Gareth's been here a long time, and this, that, and another. And I was like, 6 months, like a long time, and now it's coming up to 5 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, fun.
Cool. Right, so I better do some work. If you guys have any questions for me, Mod will pose them to me.
Yes.
Otherwise, he can do his best to answer your questions about anything else that's not art related.
Were you guys playing RuneScape before you started working at Jagex? What about yourself?
Never heard of it.
Did you actually not?
No, I've never.
Oh wow, they got, and in 5 years, look at him now. No, I was a long-term player when I joined. We have this when we're hiring. By the way, we're hiring. Look at our career site. We're looking for QA. We're looking for dev. Apply. When we're hiring, we have this way up of experience of the industry versus experience of our game. All right, mate.
Oh, right.
I go down the wrong way.
Good.
Yeah, sure. And we kind of weigh that up between we very. I'm trying to word this correctly so that HR don't kill me, because it's not a bad thing. It's just I don't want to word it in a way that is wrong. Mm-hmm. But each extremity has their advantages and disadvantages. So obviously hiring somebody with a lot of experience is going to be really good at their job, like hiring an experienced artist or an experienced QA analyst will know what they're doing. Whereas comparatively, if they have no RuneScape experience and you toss them into RuneScape, it's kind of a weird game to get the grasp of, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you definitely know what I mean. You're a good example, right?
Yeah, when I first came here, I really didn't get it. I was like, why can't I use my arrow keys and my WASD to move around? Why have I got to click on the screen?
But then on the opposite end of the spectrum, people who have like a lot of experience in RuneScape but not of the thing that they're applying for, and that was me, you learn a lot more other things, especially because this is my first job as well, so I learned a lot in this job over 5 years. So yeah, there you go. But do apply if you can apply.
I wish it was my first job. I had to work in a hospital for years before I managed to land this.
Dude, you have such a cool like backstory of jobs. Have you ever told them about the fact that you used to be a nurse?
I wasn't a nurse. Everyone keeps saying.
No, you were kind of a nurse. What were you? You were the.
It's called a perioperative assistant. It's basically like a technician with no real responsibility, other than sort of working to help those who do have serious responsibilities.
I don't think that's true. When I was in the hospital getting injections for my spine, the person like setting up and like taking out all the stuff and I was like, that person's got a very scary and very serious job. Like they are the people setting up, getting ready for this person to inject me with a needle this long in my spine. Like I was scared.
That wasn't my job.
Dude, I'm trying to make you sound really cool here. Well, you're underselling yourself so hard.
I don't want to sound really cool. I want to sound realistic. I don't want to be a fraud and say something that I wasn't. That'd be terrible.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'll let you off.
Okay. Which jobs on the careers site are only for us? QA and dev. We have specific job openings for that right now, I believe.
Cool.
And I believe in the future we might even get some more graphics assistants. So keep an eye out for that. I said maybe in the future, perhaps. I don't know. That's not a guarantee. Let's have a look. See. Does the merch store ship worldwide? I'm 100% certain. I'd say just check the website. It would probably let you know. Do you have a degree related to your job?
What I did was I went on the internet and I did a course which took me 3 years. It was called a higher level diploma. And it was based in Canada, so they said it was some form of degree. But I was just like, will you teach me how to do all this stuff? So I did that. I passed with honours and on the president's listing as well.
Get you.
So that was
Good
nice.
job. Good job, Gareth.
I kind of wish it was a degree, just so I could say that I got a first in the degree, but I didn't. I got it over the internet basically.
Cool.
Paid a lot of money for that.
I didn't.
It came through the post.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't. I'm afraid.
Ah, okay.
I went to sixth form, so I was about to go to uni. Then I didn't.
I don't know. I think like degrees are a great thing, and well done to anyone that's got one. But
yes.
I don't think they're essential.
We always get on this topic. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, we do.
We always talk. I mean, I'm not like off stream as well. We have a lot of very, very nice discussion topics. How can I contact recruitment? I'd say wait until you get an email response confirming or denying your application, and then they will get in contact with you. What does QA actually entail, and what qualification do you need? Qualification not necessary. We definitely believe that experience of the game is very, very important for QA. You can always teach somebody to QA. You can't really teach somebody RuneScape as easily. Day-to-day job is bug queues. Like, for example, like when you put bugs in game, when you report them, we see those pretty much within a 2-hour period. We see that pretty quickly. We have regression is a term that you might or might not know, which is when a job comes through and you test it and you go through all the cases with a critical path, which is the path that you will go through when you're playing the content, versus destructive testing, when you're trying to go the opposite way to purposely break it, etc. Fix trivial bugs, sometimes make stuff, sometimes we do dev if we have to. It's quite varied, to be honest with you. Shockingly, I'd say 40% of the job is probably QA, which to a lot of people might sound like, wow, that's not a lot of QA, but it's like a lot of other stuff is almost admin. You're getting your test cases sorted out, you're doing regression, you're assisting with bug fixes, etc. There you go.
You also, because you have creative input, like you give me feedback quite frequently, don't you?
That's another thing. Well. We've write feedback. I was just trying to give a TLDR, but yeah. So for example, I saw a model from Gareth the other day, and we either comment on, do we think it could break in certain areas, why it could break, does it actually showcase, there's a term, I can't remember what the term is, but it's like showcase. Like, it's like portray, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, you know, like when you're, let's say a creature is healing from you and siphoning life. It is showed in a way to make it look like they're doing that.
Oh, telegraph.
It's telegraphed, thank you, that would have killed me, yes, it's telegraphed. Like, does it telegraph what's actually happening? Does it not? Like, those kind of things we give feedback on as well. Yeah, there you go.
It's actually good, like, I encourage all of us to really listen to QA. Like, no, it is really important, just because you're people that actually like play the game more than anyone, to be honest. The devs play it a lot, but I think you guys definitely do play it, like, more than most.
9 hours a day.
And also, you're very good at feedback. So generally, I think like our QA team's actually good at artistic feedback. I get a lot of feedback off Mod Rock. I was speaking to Modcast the other day as well about some animation feedback.
I'm very happy that you said that. That makes me really happy. I mean, one of the things that I so before I worked in old school, I worked on the MTX team, and on that team, well, this was like 2 years ago. On that team, especially for like outfits and things like that, like you learn to. Do you remember Zoltan?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Do you remember Zoltan?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So Zoltan was a principal artist that worked with us, and he taught us like the correct way to say things almost, which sounds stupid, but when you say, for example, that doesn't look good, and you can't give a positive reason why, or an actual legitimate reason why, it kind of diminishes your like why is it bad?
Yeah,
that's not good. But yesterday, for example, you also avoid saying the word bad. Don't say bad. Yesterday, for example, I looked at one of your models and I said, I think we've done a lot of edge kind of stuff before. I'm trying very careful.
Yeah, not to use spoilers, yeah.
And the way I described it was, could we do something more curved for the silhouette? Could we instead have a more organic living thing to make it different? Then
we can be specific enough to say that it was a spell, basically.
Yeah.
And we've used like a lot of particular visual styles for spells over the last couple of months, and we really need to kind of shake it up a bit, really, and do something that's a bit different. And it's I kind of said, yeah, I know.
you're like, yeah, I was worried about that. I was like, you go, thanks for telling me, but I was kind of aware, and I was like, okay, sorry. Yeah.
But it's nice to know we're on the same page, really.
It's not recycled content. It's created from scratch. It's just, sometimes you just need a brainwave of a different way to do something.
Yeah, sure.
Or a suggestion. Somebody goes, wow, actually, no, that's a good idea. Or so yeah.
He's going to have lightning, by the way. So
he is. Sure.
Yeah, he's going to have lightning.
Giant Kawanwan boss confirmed. Let's have a look, see. How do you guys feel about alchemy tablets? I think we've had that question asked before on the Q&A, and we've kind of unanimously said, no, we don't like that. Bring your runes, is what we'd say. We don't like the concept of it saving an extra inventory slot. We don't want you alching everything if you're not willing to take an extra couple of inventory slots.
I've taken to laughing like I smoke. Going.
You know when you don't laugh, you find something funny but not very funny. One of my favourite things to like respond on Twitter when somebody puts something that's funny, but I don't go ha ha ha, and I go. I now type slightly exhaled like harder through my nose, and everybody knows what it means because everybody does it when it goes.
There needs to be like a word for that, like you could call it a snap.
It's an exhale, isn't it?
An exhale,
like a nose exhale, like, or a snicker. It's like no, because snicker's like.
You're not sniggering.
But yeah. Could a student apply for a trainee position? I don't know exactly what we do for interns, but we do have an intern scheme, I believe, if you're at university, and we usually, whenever they appear, they'll be on the career website. Is there a word for this laugh? There is a.
Oh, someone said snort, but no.
No, it's not. It's
Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
We're allowed
He
to-
laughed quietly. A short huff of air came out of his
A
nose.
huff.
It's not.
Maybe that's
Scroll
where,
down a little bit.
Maybe that's where the term Huffington Post comes from.
Breathed laughter. Maybe. Breathed laughter sounds about right. Like a
Breath laughter. Chuckle. It's not a chuckle.
It's not.
You said that's a chuckle.
Yeah. A scoff? No, a scoff is. Oh.
Someone said a chuff.
No, I don't think it's a chuff.
It's definitely
Let's not say.
that.
Let's not say words.
Okay, I'll stop reading off the internet.
We're done.
I know
Okay,
it's
let's
dangerous.
get on with your work. Get on with your work, Gareth. Get animating. Well, you're animating the wart cycle, right? Is that what you're doing?
That's
Okay.
right, I am. Yeah. Oh, just so everyone knows what I'm doing at the moment, I'm just making it his upper body sort of turn from side to side, so when he lunges forwards as he walks, it feels like he's really reaching.
Adds power.
Yeah, that's right.
We spoke a lot about that before, actually, as well. So one of the things that like Zoltan taught me was how to express those kind of stuff with animations and stuff, and how he went about doing that. And we were talking the other day about how, I mean, I think we spoke about this before on stream, where like when you snap back, if you jerk a limb in a way that it's not meant to, animation-wise, for like one frame, you don't really notice it does it, but it adds an impact.
Okay.
And I don't know why I'm doing this because it was of the end boss. In particular, where you, like, yeah. And similarly, when you stretch things to a point that they shouldn't be, or distort them in a way just to exaggerate temporarily, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I've learned a lot from the lead animator on RuneScape over the last probably 6 to 8 months. He's told me a lot of things to do, and we're really kind of like trying to fit them into our animation style. So often people's feedback is invaluable, especially if they really do know what they're talking about.
Makes us feel good. I'm not trying to not look at you in the eye, but I always feel bad that when we're not looking at the camera, so I'm always trying to do this balance of like stare at the camera, but at you as well.
Oh, it's fine. I'm only deeply offended.
only slightly deeply. Is this boss unique? It's a boss that you will find within the Theatre of Blood.
That's right, yeah.
I don't want to say and butcher its name.
Sotetseg. Sotetseg.
Sotetseg.
It's spelled you can see it on the screen here if anyone's curious. S-O-T et seg. Sotetseg.
Sotetseg. Okay. Yeah. There you go. Sotetseg.
We need like easier names.
Yeah.
I feel.
Why is it not Bob?
I thought like
it's not a very menacing name, Bob. Actually. You know what I mean?
I've got a name in my head and I think it might be cool, but it's in my head, so I won't know until I say it out loud.
Okay. Come on. Hit us with it. Come on.
Well, because the Night Beast is the Night Beast, and this is somewhere between the Night Beast and an experimental ideal by the vampires.
Okay.
I came up with like a word with a double meaning, and called him. You ready? It might suck.
I'm so ready. You've hyped this up. This needs to be really good.
Midnight.
I wasn't that impressed, to be honest with you. I'm sorry.
It sounded better. It always does, doesn't it?
Midnight sounds like a what does it think me of? It's a little I don't want. Yeah, it's that pretty much. It's a little flamboyant.
It's flamboyant
for a bot. Like when I think of Midnight, I think of like a very sexually like femme fatale kind of vampires. Like Midnight,
really?
Voila. Like it sounds very theatrical.
Yeah.
Not something that you'd call a massive beat.
Look at my face. I'm gutted. Can you tell? I feel like someone scooped my insides out and dropped them on the floor.
The entire chat blew up.
Someone's. I'm really disappointed in myself. How am I going to live this down? Alright, I'll see you later.
No, don't go. We need your animation. Come back. To be honest with you, and it doesn't happen very often, but I think Bob might have been better.
No, it wasn't. What is with people and Bob?
Fred?
I thought of something that sounds like Boaty McBoatface the other day, and it rhymed perfectly with one of our bosses. I can't remember it now. I'm just making it worse. But I'm going to get on with what I do best, which is just the graphics.
This is why we can't ask the chat, by the way. This is why we can't ask the chat what to call it, because they would say something like Beastie McBeast or Tusky McCornface.
The community came up with Zora, and I was really pleased with that name.
That's good.
And it's really memorable. So they've got a good track record from my memory. Is there anything that they come up with that wasn't so good that we put in this game?
Well, no, we've not put it in game.
No.
If it wasn't good, we'd put it in game.
Well, it depends, because if it's like a unanimous decision and we could have like 3 names and it
That's
goes
true.
forwards, you're allowed to have an opinion on these things. I don't think anyone will be offended if you think.
I don't think there
suggestion
has
is bad.
been. I don't think there has been.
Okay, all right. It was a very safe answer.
I don't think there has. I really don't. Some of these names. Was Daizura a name suggestion? I don't remember the
Daizura.
name suggestions. Zora.
The top name was Nagini, but for obvious reasons we couldn't use Nagini. Oh, sorry, it's Voldemort's
Oh, the snake.
Horcrux snake.
That would have been cool. Why couldn't we say that?
I think it's just because it was, I don't know. I don't know. Well, it just felt like a bit unoriginal.
I like that name.
I loved the name as well, and everyone else loved the name too, but it just felt like we were ripping off J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, that's true. We could have just done what we usually do, rip it off and then like slightly change it.
Okay, so what would you like, zucchini?
Like
Called it that.
Mig? Migiri? That's probably got a name. You know, like, isn't... How do I spell that? Let's see.
What, Nagini?
Oh my god. I thought you said nigiri, like the sushi. I was really confused. Okay, I'm with you.
What is nigiri? Like the sushi?
Is it nigiri, the sushi?
Aye.
Nigiri is the one with the bowl of rice and the fish on top.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Alright.
Okay. It's the generic sushi, the stereotypical sushi, I think. I don't know. Is there not... Oh, can you guys not hear the music, by the way?
Okay, they're not here.
I don't know, somebody said that they couldn't come here.
Oh, okay.
As feedback, the back paws look a little small, according to the chat.
There's all sorts of things going on with the back paws at the moment. Don't worry, I will get there.
See,
well
I always
spotted.
quite like in the regular dark beasts. They're quite small as well, but I think it's because whenever they attack, they rest on their forearms. Like their forearms are their main.
Well, you just check out the back when it animates at the moment. It's kind of like it's all over the place. I really need to do like. a lot of that. Yeah,
He's got a strut. He's like BGing down the street.
He is, unfortunately, isn't he? I think I may have made a terrible mistake.
He has skipped leg day.
Yeah.
It is a bit of a swagger.
I hate swaggers in creatures when they move.
He's got a big swagger going on.
Oh, hang on. Let me just try something quickly before I undo all of that. I'm just going to try and straighten his head out and see if that helps.
But you can tell by the way I use my walk, I'm a dark beast man. No time to talk. Music loud. No, get
No, it's
flipped around.
fine. It's fine. I'm just you go do your thing.
Actually, on that note, Mod I Use will be coming down very shortly. I need to go because I actually have an appointment in 30 minutes and I need to pedal like a madman to get there.
What's your appointment?
We're not going to talk about that.
Okay.
So take care.
I see you made it.
That's not worse. I don't think- It's nothing bad. Don't worry. Take care. Thank you so much, Gareth.
Yes,
You can
thank
actually get
you.
work done now that I'm leaving.
That's cool. I've got to fill up some time and talk about what I'm doing now. I'll do my best to talk to you guys, but unfortunately I'll probably just have to talk about what I'm doing, which might not be as exciting.
Take care, matey.
Cool. Thank you very much, Mod Wolf. Okay, so as we've now had one guest depart, we can take a look at the schedule again
I'm
and
not
see. who
pregnant.
we've got coming up. No, she's not pregnant. He's going for an ultrasound. So we've got Mod Aiza coming down at 2:30 p.m. It's now 2:31 p.m. But he's welcome to come down any time within the next couple of hours, and we will welcome him with open arms. Cool. Right. So I'll carry on with the Dark Beast. Are you okay? Awesome. Here he is. Here's the man. Drum roll, please. Oh, nice one.
What are
Thank
the
you.
tissues for?
I've got a bit of a sniffly nose. So, yeah.
I always get a sniffly nose when I'm doing these. Just recently, one of my eyes likes to water.
Oh, and just like
it
crying in
starts
front of
coming
everyone.
one
You're so
side of the face.
emotional. You're so in love with the community that it just brings tears to your eyes.
That's exactly what it is. Okay, so I'm just going to take a drink. Mod Aiza will take your questions.
I will. Hey guys
That's
and girls. From Nickelback to Jagex. I don't know what the relevance to that is.
Do you like Nickelback? Start off there. See where it goes.
Do you know what? Actually, I didn't mind Nickelback back in the day.
Okay.
You know, a bit of photograph and what was the other one? This Is How You Remind Me. Those two
right, yeah,
bangers.
that's it. Yeah.
I went a little bit different from downhill from there on. Let's say, but
Oh, there was that one from Spider-Man as well, wasn't there? They did a song for Spider-Man. Hero, that was it. That was okay, I guess. When I was studying, I listened to Nickelback for a couple of days and then just kind of
yeah, that was enough.
drifted
then.
away. Yeah, drifted away from
2 days is for Nickelback.
Yeah. He sings from the bottom of his mouth, underneath his tongue.
Really?
You know, like that noise.
It is that bit of
same
noise,
as
yeah,
Pearl Jam.
Yeah, I'm not going to try and do it now on stream, but someone asked, why don't you make the verts in his head straight or something like that? Why don't you make the verts straight in his head?
Oh, the verts. How do I make right? So the verts straight in his head.
It was something like that anyway.
Okay.
It went so fast.
Did you miss it? Okay.
Yeah.
Please ask again, and we'll do our best to just have a look and see what you said. Verts. Can people? Oh, I love you too, Air Zero. Can people in this in the chat put multiple comments in, or do they have to wait for a period of time before they can enter it again?
Yeah, there shouldn't be any
There's
limitations.
There's no limitations.
limitations
Okay,
on
that's
spam.
cool. Cool. So just ask away. Sorry if we missed your questions. If the more you keep repeating them, the more likely we are to pick them back up.
Try and grab them. Troubled Jaker says, did you use any concept art to bring on this design?
Oh, this design here.
Yeah.
We've got Dark Beasts in game already, and then we sort of moved on to do the Night Beasts.
Found it. Mr. OSRS, why don't you straighten the verts in the head/neck area? That was it.
Okay, was that for the walk? I'm not sure because they're already quite straight in the walk.
There we go. They're already quite straight.
Maybe he asked that whilst I was doing it.
And it was just from earlier.
They, I should say. I shouldn't presume it's a man, should I? It's quite bad.
I do that all the time. It's
The worst thing is where people go, he or she.
Yeah.
Afterwards, it's very clear that they've done that quite frequently.
Any news on open beta for mobile? None that I can give you right here, right now, but I know that there was a post put out recently. We obviously extended the iOS beta. I think when the next steps are to look at an Android, like extended beta of some sort. But we'll be releasing information very soon, I'd imagine, in terms of what we're doing going forward. So, Dragon Rider King says, what's the progress like rigging a model like this?
For a model like this,
And does it work the same as other programs?
it kind of doesn't, unfortunately. I can show you over here. So if I show you the labels.
Wow, that's a lot of labels.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky, isn't it? I'll try and reduce it, so selection only. So what will happen is I will just select this just here, and I'll make it not transparent. Okay, so if I select some labels just here and I turn these on, you can see that this whole section here is labelled up as head.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, apart from that bit, I've accidentally labelled head as well.
They don't look like it should be a head.
No, that's a mistake.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to have to edit the base in the middle of the stream.
Really?
That's not very good, is it? Oh well.
It's okay. We're showing people that, this is what happens in live production.
That's it, yeah, this is...
and the issues you have to face.
Exactly.
So if anyone had a question was, have you ever accidentally labelled the wrong part of a base? Yeah.
I have.
Uh-huh.
Every day. I do it all the time. So you can see all of these are split up into sections, and say if I want to label this, I just press Control and L on my keyboard and this little interface comes up just here, and then I just enter my label and just say something like art. Yeah, all of these labels come up. They're already pre-existing.
Okay.
I can put a new one in, and then once I've just got this whole thing covered in labels, you see like every single part's got its own label. I'll just run over the sections for you quick. So yeah, you get the idea. This is underpants label just there. See, looks like a pair of pants. It's funny.
Diaper.
Then what I have to do is I have this list over here, and you can see all the labels that exist on a model just there. And as well as unique labels, like this one just here, you also have that one connecting to the left foot just there. So there's just tons and tons of labels and connecting labels all in here. It looks really confusing. So what I have to do is I have to select this arm section just here, and I have to create what we call a transform for it. And that's the point just there called the origin, where the little dot sits. And for that origin, I assign it this part of the geometry just there, so it knows where to go. And then the rotate which is just here, which controls the entire arm.
That was so like typical. Imagine the birthday card. There's a little thing that you can, well, like pop-up books.
Like a pop-up book. Yep, that's it. That's the level we're working on.
Oh, dear.
So all of these pink ones just here, that's all those labels that exist in the arm. And as I go down, you can see. Oh, you could have seen. Okay, so as I go down, you can see the number of pink labels get reduced. So we go further down until finally we're just kind of left with the fingers right at the end, just there,
Okay.
and just a single label in those. So that's how we rig up. That's not really how most rigging systems actually work, but it's perfectly doable, and you end up with a skeleton all the same, which you can manipulate using the transforms. So basically, this is more sophisticated than the equipment they had to make Toy Story 1.
Wow.
So if you think about
Okay,
Toy Story,
yeah, how that came together.
then it's fine. Absolutely fine.
Wow. So I just catch a couple of questions that I've seen fly through. Actually, not a question, but there is a lot of talks where it's no longer known as the Theatre of Blood. It's now known as the Theatre of PogChamp.
Theatre of PogChamp.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So PogChamp's obviously it's a good thing. It's like, oh my god, that's cool.
That's awesome. I'm glad people feel that way.
And then we've had a couple of people asking about challenge mode raids. So that's for the Chambers of Xeric. We announced challenge mode. That was polled. The poll closed today. If you haven't already, make sure you go to the poll booth because there is another poll live for Bryophyta, the Moss Giant boss that was developed by Mod Kira in his tap time, who normally works in the IT department. So that's really cool. They learned how to dev and put that together. Yeah, so that's live. But yeah, basically, I think challenge mode raids, I would say that you should expect it relatively soon. I don't know an exact date yet, but I think that we're looking at getting it out sooner rather than later. And that's as much as I can give at the moment on that. But I would imagine that it will be before Theatre of Blood, because we want to do a Chambers of Xeric qual. So having the challenge mode will be really good because we'll have rooms that people won't normally have gone to, and then that will give us a lot more feedback as well to go through and actually look at the rooms for the normal version of raids. So hopefully that helped.
What's the Moss Giant boss called?
Bryophyta?
Bryophyta. Okay,
I
that's
think so. I keep calling it Bryophyta.
Bryophyta.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound quite as cool.
No, but I think it's the scientific name for moss.
Oh, okay.
And obviously it's a moss giant boss.
That's really cool. Well thought out.
Who is this mod babyface? Why did I read that one out?
Oh boy.
Do you know when you start reading and then you're like, what?
Hey, be grateful. Like they don't even ID me thinking that I'm like, under 25 anymore.
I got ID'd for some monster the other week.
You got ID for some monster.
Yeah, it wasn't actually because of the monster, so I front that in the wrong way, but I do it on purpose, obviously. No, so now you have to be 16 to buy energy drinks because of the level of caffeine in them. And obviously I was at the Tesco self at checkout, scanned it. It's like, age restricted item. My thing turned red and someone came over and was like, have you got any ID, please? And then I just turned around to them and the woman looked at me as if to say, what? Why are you looking at me like that? And then she looked down and was like, oh, I thought you had alcohol. I was like, no.
Oh, okay, right. That definitely explains it.
So,
I'm starting to feel quite jealous there.
no.
He looks under 16. And I look over 25.
So someone's asked if we can explain the World 47 Deadman thing. We have already stated at the start of this stream, I think Wolf mentioned it, that there is a statement out. Check it out. It's on Reddit. We've covered it there. We'll also cover it again in the Q&A later on today, but it's not going to be the focus of this stream. Sorry. If you want to direct your questions towards anything to do with art, graphics, myself, Mod Ghost, Theatre of Blood, feel free, but we won't be covering that topic for the rest of this stream. Apologies. What will be your next haircut, Mod Ghost?
I'm actually going to grow my hair long now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I used to have it long when I was younger.
I used to have long hair too.
It's nice. Kind of feels natural that way.
I used to love my long hair, and then I got it chopped off. I thought I'll try a change, and then I just never went back again.
I think you've got. I'm in the in-between phase now that everyone discusses. Whoever grows their hair long, where you can't do nothing with it, so I just have to gel it back and leave it there until a year's time.
Yeah, you have to get through that. There's the very intermediate stage where it's just too long to do anything with, but too short to be considered long.
That's right. Yeah.
So some people are asking about the RevCave dev blog as well. RevCave dev blog is ready to go live. I'll talk about this again in the Q&A, so you'll be able to get a bit more info there. But the bottom line is, at the moment, I don't have enough time myself to dedicate to going through feedback, and it would be very pointless for us to put out a blog where there's no one around to actually check what people are saying. So until I know more about my schedule freeing up, which at the moment is very busy, it will be put on hold. But the blog is ready. We have the rewards kind of put together, and that's just the take that I'm going. So apologies if you would like to see it, but I don't want to have to be in a repeat where we put something out, you guys see it, and then 2 months later you're like, what happened with this? So I'd rather us put it out when we know that we can dedicate our time to it. So will we ever see an end/continuation to a few quest lines like the Red Axe or the Eyes of Gluffery? Maybe. I think everyone, not everyone, sorry, there's a few people in the team that really want to look at doing quests. So we have a lot of quests coming up as well. I think, we've obviously got the Taste of Hope that was polled. That,
yeah, that's right.
Should be coming out relatively soon, along with Theatre of Blood and everything else that comes along with that. We've just released the new quest for Zaya, Tale of the Righteous, I think it was. Yeah, so there's definitely potential for other quest lines to be expanded on. I don't think there's any immediate plans, but everything's a possibility.
Yeah,
So.
I think with quests, like the first one we did was Monkey Madness 2.
Yeah.
And we were very unsure how much the community would want quests back then, because a lot of the time it was mainly the slow updates and PVM that kind of pleased most people. But over the years, quests just seem to have been requested more and more, time and time again. So that's why we get more quests now. So basically, the more popular things are, the more people ask for them, the more likely
chance they're
going
to happen. If you shout about it, then. Someone's asked, what quest would you like to see have a sequel the most? Ooh, that is interesting. Originally, I would have said Monkey Madness 2, but we have a sequel to that now. Then I would have said Dragon Slayer 2. We have a sequel to that now. The next one that I want to see is Desert Treasure 2. An expansion to Desert Treasure, I would love that. Just because it was one of the quests that I hated doing when I was younger, because I just put it off for so long. And I always have very vivid memories of the time I actually finished it. I was even noobier back then than I am now, so it felt good.
I'm going to think on the quest one, because I'm not sure really.
Sure.
I kind of like the Zaya quest lines at the moment, but it'd be nice if, because I know they're often like very small quests.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see where they go, because they've just got so much potential. Because I remember like when we first started reading the lore for them, when we were working on Zaya, it's very exciting. And ModMac K wrote a lot of it as well. And I'd like to see more stuff to do with the Dark Altar. I'd like to see maybe an alternative dimension to do with the Dark Altar or something like that.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, we've obviously got plans in place, haven't we, to put together now more quests for Zaya. We've got the foundations of 3 of the houses. I think we've got 2 more to expand upon, and then, who knows where that's going to go. I think there are a lot of teasers in Tale of Righteous towards expanding on the story, and a lot of people were coming back with feedback saying that it gives you that sense of something big is about to happen. Maybe something big is about to happen. Desert Treasure 2, but the treasure is Dragon Balls. You can make any wish you want. Maybe. Any chances of another skiller or skilling boss? I think there's always possibility. Schnipen. It's a great name. But yeah, I mean, it comes down to community suggestions. If you have an idea, feel free to pop it on the forums, Twitter or Reddit. Tag a few of us and we'll have a look. So what format do you use for your animations? I think I read that right.
What format? What's the output file?
I assume so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we use files called frame files. I think they're just basically rudimentary text files. So all of these labels just here and all of these transforms get given a coordinate. Say like if I'm rotating this shoulder just here, you can see it's got some X, Y and Z 3D space coordinates just there. Oh, my voice went a bit strange there.
That's okay. Now your turn is 16.
So you've got a transform just here. So in the text file, it will generally just say transform. Then it'll list all the labels, and then it will tell it to be at this position in 3D space.
Okay.
And then say if you've got something where it moves it, like in the directions, you'll have data down here. It'll just record that.
The position that it's moved to.
That's it. So then basically the compiler puts all that into a format which can be read by the engine. And then away we go. So it's just basically a simple text format that we output to, which is kind of used in-house, but nowhere else as far as I know.
Fair enough. Interesting. I love coming in on these because I always learn so much about the programs that we use, because it's not something that I would typically get to see or or talk to anyone about, other than the odd occasion I come over and have a quick look at what you're working on and test you about something. I did see a question from DMNC Diaz, I believe the name was, that said, it was a question for you in fact, what's the reason behind roofs in old school being flat?
Roofs in old school being flat?
Yeah, so the roofs that you can toggle on and off, I guess he thinks
okay, so flat. You've got the outer edge which is beveled, and then the top is completely flat.
Yeah.
It's mainly because we use a roof kit.
Okay.
So because the size of a room can vary, so say this will be kind of useful if I just go to this and then show the floor. So show floor. Let's delete all this.
Oh my god, you just lost all that work.
That's fine. That's fine.
You can do it again in like 2 seconds. Right?
Yeah, that's right. I do everything in 2 seconds. That's how long it takes me. So say if we make a roof kit. Let's say this is the outside edge with the colour just here. And then I move that to the edge just here, and then I want to have a corner piece just here. So for the corner piece, press D. For the corner piece, let's say that is red. Red. And then say we want another edge piece, so we've got like green around there, green around there. So we build using all these pieces, which are symbolised here, a outer edge to the roof.
Okay.
Now if we tried to build an inside which also sloped up, then we would need lots of separate pieces to slope up from these green pieces, which I'll just demonstrate for you quickly now with some more coloured planes. So say if I want a piece which matches between these two just here, I'll just move
it's not suddenly got so much bigger in size to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But one of these things could be, I'll just show you quick. So like, say we want a corner piece here to fit between these two greens on the edge, then we have to introduce a new piece of kit. So, and we'll colour that one blue. Okay, colour that. Okay, then if we want to have more corner pieces, we can just rotate that. That's fine. That's relatively cheap. Now we've got one that needs to fit with these flat edges just here. So we have another piece of kit, which we will colour yellow. Colour. Okay. So you might think, all right, that's easy enough. Right, we can do that. Until you then expand the room again.
And all of a sudden it's now...
we need more pieces.
Yeah.
So we then have to duplicate this, and we have that in the middle, and we need another piece to then go in the centre here, which is still doable. Let's colour that one, say pink. Until we then go, right, so let's expand
and then you're
this
like, nope.
again.
So can't do it.
On and on it will just go until we've got tons and tons of pieces. Now an easier way to do that is just to basically say, I can't tell if I'm selecting these or not. Okay.
So many people confused all these coloured squares now.
Yeah, I know.
A Rubik's Cube.
What's easier, however, is if I just have one piece in the centre, and I just do that all over the place, and
fills in nicely,
yeah, it fills in the space, but we end up with a flat roof.
Okay.
And that's why we have flat roofs. Maybe a timestamp of that.
Yeah.
The flat roof explanation.
1451, because the Earth's flat. I mean, because otherwise there's too many tiles that it takes up.
I get that reference, but I won't do it the justice of discussing it any longer.
Okay, so any more questions in the chat, feel free to @RuneScape, at Old School RS actually. I'll try and get a hold of them and ask them. I just go through quite quick though. Oh, we just got someone subscribed for 3 months in a row. Hey, Kemp Q. That was a little bit of sellout there. Hit that follow button, smash the subscribe. All proceeds go towards charity. So.
Do they really?
Yeah, we put to all of the sub money goes towards our the charities that we work with.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. 15 questions just came in. I've got to stop looking at your way. They're too fast.
Okay.
I think you answered about qualifications, but just quickly, did you do any qualifications before you got this job?
I've got a A-level in fine art. I've got my GCSEs.
Okay.
That's a joke.
Okay.
No one really cares about GCSEs,
No.
right? It doesn't matter. Okay, so I've got an A level. I've got a high level diploma as well in 3D modelling as
Okay.
well, with honours. That was it.
Cool. And then the rest is just like you've built up so much of
The rest
your
is
own
history.
portfolio.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, the thing is, in that situation, imagine you get to the point where you secure yourself a job.
Uh-huh.
It's almost then the rest of it goes off your experience. So there's no real need, I guess, in your position unless you wanted to learn a brand new software or technique.
Well, when I was looking at doing this, I thought I could actually go to university because that's why I did fine art. I also did fashion design as well at college, and then someone put me onto 3D modelling. So originally I was going to do fashion design.
Okay.
Then I thought I can spend all that cash on university and be broke, or I could just go on the internet and see if they do some online courses. I found an online course that was based in Canada, so I ended up just applying for that just to see what it was all about. It wasn't too expensive. I think it cost me about £9,000, which I just took out a loan for, and that's like 1 year at university.
Yeah.
So
something like 11 grand now, I think.
yeah,
So.
and that's not even like the cost of living. So I just did that, and I worked when I could to like earn money, and you know I've already paid off my student debt and stuff now. So it's kind of like I did it for financial reasons, just so I didn't want to be caught in a debt trap. But yeah.
Fashion design explains why the models you make look so good.
Oh, that's very
There you go.
nice. Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I've got a background in working in operating theatres, which gave me a really like in-depth understanding of human anatomy, and also doing fashion design as well, and then moving on to character modelling. They do have
It
like,
all tied up into
they
one
do have
thing.
kind of
So I guess you get the idea of like how
relevance.
things move and internals work, and then you get the how different colours and shapes and stuff look good
yeah,
together.
That's right, yeah.
And then you can just design it all into an actual thing.
That's right, yeah.
Look at that, transferable skills. That's what's important. So people are asking for an O-ball pet for the free-to-play community. I don't think that would ever happen. I mean, I might be wrong, but I don't know what the community's opinion is actually on free-to-play pets, but I can't imagine that it's going to be a yes. So, with 3D modelling, where did you study, and what program did you use to learn? You
Did we
just said the
discover that
studying,
one?
but
Yeah,
what
we
did you use
discovered
to? What was your very early designing?
So I started actually doing digital design when I was a kid, and my dad used to collect Spectrum computers, and there was just like pixel art programs on that. I was about 6 years old when we first had those, and I just used to spend all my time doing animations, sometimes with a cap of 11 frames.
Okay.
And I just used to sit in our computer room just doing that all the time. Then I moved on to just like MS Paint, then Adobe Photoshop became something that you could have on home PC, so I started doing that as well. And then I started using Duke Nukem Level Builder as well.
Wow,
So
okay.
I started
Doing a
doing
bit
that.
level design.
Yeah, and then I just moved straight into like music for a couple of years and completely left art. Then that didn't work out, so then I got into fine art and did like sculpture and painting, and then I just moved into fashion, and then moved on to this.
Yeah, into this. Wow. There you have it then. Your whole life story.
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Are we considering making new Slayer monsters, let's say with 95 Slayer requirement? I don't know of any immediate plans that are in the works, but sure, I guess why not? At some point more Slayer, higher level Slayer monsters wouldn't be a bad thing, but not right now. I think we've had enough Slayer updates recently.
Hey, never have enough Slayer updates.
We've got a lot of really good high level PVM content coming out with Theatre of Blood, so let's see what that brings first. Can the Moss Giant boss drop the rune, scimitar, or axe? Would be amazing for free to play Iron Man. I'm sure it will. I don't think I've seen a drop table for it as of yet, but it is in the works. I think that's something that's being worked on today. In fact, now looking at the poll results, it's fairly positive. So we've said that we'll spend a bit of time and looking at doing a drop table and balancing that earlier rather than later. So maybe I'll have more info next week. Anything on old school RuneScape HD? This gets asked quite a few times, and I know that we've answered it a few times, but for those that haven't ever heard about the old school RuneScape HD, what would it mean from a graphics resource if we were to go down the route of HD?
So apparently last time we did HD, we had a whole studio of artists working on updating models so they could work with the adjustments that were made to the engine, and a lot of the work was also outsourced as well.
Okay.
To other artists, and currently, as far as I know, that took roughly 8 months to a year to do all that work. So if we were going to do it with 3 artists, it could potentially
take years.
It would take years and years and years to do it with just us. And as we've got content to deliver in the meantime, we'd also have to have a group of artists also doing what we do currently. So just for something that's like an aesthetic update, which would essentially mean that we're not really old school anymore anyway. It's like people would come back to that nostalgic experience and be like, oh, it's 2010.
So it's interesting actually, because there's a lot of people that have, support for HD and they like the HD look and feel. But I'd probably say there's a lot more people that actually like the graphics within old school, and that's what pulls them towards the game. And for me especially, personal opinion on this one is that with the things that you're doing recently and the new monsters that we get in and new environments and how detailed things are getting, I don't think there's any need for it. I think it looks fantastic because we have such a niche kind of style. When I look at what you do at the moment with these bosses, they have almost this kind of I think like a watercolour kind of effect to them.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, but it reminds me of Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda game. It's very cartoony, but not cartoony in the sense that it's like anime style.
Yeah,
it just looks really, really nice, and this suits my style perfectly. So sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent there.
That's cool.
Any more questions? Please feel free. I'll stop talking about my own things.
Well, we can keep talking about the HD thing.
Oh yeah, the HD thing. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I think I understand what people mean, because when I look back at games that have been remastered, the example that would come to mind for me would be, say, the first Resident Evil game. I've seen the remastered version and I played it and completed it, and I just could not go back and play the original now.
No, because you've seen it, yeah.
Because that was just so cool and so nice, and I really appreciated playing that. So they're all these visual recreations that look amazing, and you really appreciate them. But then there's other games that I played that I've gone back to that were, say, on the PS1, where if someone did an update to them, it'd be great, but I still wouldn't be able to be sort of taken back in time to when I was a kid playing this stuff. And I think if we lose that from old school RuneScape, then it would impact a lot of people's sentiment about the game. So I would always be really cautious about doing that, and the consensus we'd have to have on something like that would have to be more or less everyone, otherwise people just wouldn't want to play it.
Well, I think I can only imagine it would ever happen if it was toggleable, and at that point then we're then looking at 2 different teams to work on graphics, one for the old style and one for HD, right?
Yeah.
Unless you can obviously become super efficient and do double the amount of work in the same amount of time, which I think you guys are efficient enough as it is. So
yeah, we can't do any more, I don't think. But yeah, I think it's been said before, but the most important thing is we actually just deliver the content to players instead of maybe getting lost in just trying to achieve something which is, looking at the evidence on it, quite unachievable.
That's fair. Communication, but is there any way? I just seen another question, and I've missed it now. Sorry, it's about Slayer Cake, but I couldn't fully read it in time.
That's
My
all
bad.
right.
Are the old school RuneScape and RuneScape universes interconnected? I don't believe. I think we're separate, right? We've gone down a different route in certain areas than what RuneScape have. So I would say that we have, we try and keep everything so that it makes sense between the 2 different games, but we're not restricted in the sense that we have the freedom. If we wanted to do something a bit different, we can.
Well,
I think that's the stance.
yeah, more or less. My understanding of it is we can have different plot threads, but there are things that must remain canon. So, for example, Zamorak, although he's not featured heavily in our game, physically, he must always remain to be the god of chaos. Saradomin, although not featured in physically, he must always be the god of order.
Yeah,
the world must always be called together.
I think there's certain lore things that will always be the way they are, because Galanor itself is a world.
Yeah,
and that
that's
world
right.
has a story that's attached to it, regardless of that being old school or RuneScape.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
So much like, say, something like an Arthurian legend, it would have like premises like the king is Arthur, the wizard is Merlin, the villain is Morgana, but the sort of wherewithal as to how those two interacted
Yeah,
wouldn't be as important. So like our subplots can change.
completely. I think that was a good way to describe it. So. I hope it was. How many raids are planned for old school RuneScape, says Scotty WWW36. I think the only one planned so far is Theatre of Blood. I've not been made aware of any other raids apart from challenge mode for Chambers of Xeric. It's not necessarily an entirely new raid, it's a new version of an existing raid. Will there be more raids in the future? Who knows? Maybe.
I hope so. We need to do a trilogy at least.
Am I using a Ghost Speak amulet to talk to Mod Ghost? Ooh, I'm not, but I probably should.
What?
So there's the Ghost Speak amulet.
that's a joke.
Oh, okay. just double checking. No. Does the challenge mode raid have new mechanics, or is it an upscaled raid? I believe we covered this in last week's Q&A, but there are no new mechanics with challenge mode raid. The major differences are that it'll be a linear raid, so it will be the same layout, rooms, bosses for everyone every time that you enter, and then there'll be a certain amount of additional difficulty that will be added that I won't go into detail on. Modghost is actually using the human speak amulet.
Ah, very good. Very good.
They're smart.
They are smart.
When is the Theatre of Blood being released? Said Nico UT1. I am not going to tell you the release date, but I think we have one in mind, but it's not 100%, so I'm not going to try and act like it's definite and tell you. So
Cool. I suppose the answer is soon.
yeah, soon.
No,
It'll be out this year.
Yeah, that's it.
Definitely out this year. Is it next year or this year? For Fear of Blood, it'll be this year. I think the chat's probably a little bit behind as to what I said, so you probably hear that and then hear it again. And here come the soon this year TM Winter 2017 memes. All right, guys, we get it, we get it. This one is coming soon. Maybe we'll release a release date in the very near future, but again, I don't know. But I'd imagine that we might. So, what is the most fun monster you have designed? Said Mr. Obissus, I think.
It's actually one for Theatre of Blood that I can't talk about.
Okay, cool. So let's move on very quickly. How big is this boss model compared to a character?
Okay, yeah, that's a useful question, actually. I will find out for you just now. I just realised I did a copy and paste and it's gone wrong.
Oh, what has happened to his little claw?
I know. Never mind, I can copy paste on the opposite leg anyway, so I can do that soon. Right, so what does he look like next to a character? Let me just find a file where I can just drag and drop it into here.
Cat of Tropic. Yep, all good, thanks, Mod John. Would we be seeing a quiver slug whip that would provide a melee or magic bonus? I don't know. I don't think there's anything. No, well, I'm not going to say I don't think there is. There's definitely nothing that we have planned or in the works or in a backlog of any sorts. So I don't know. I don't know how people would feel about that. Again, I've said to a couple of suggestions for content. If you have any ideas, if you want to see some cool item in game, feel free to create a post on the forums, on Reddit, or make a tweet, send something our way, have a look at it. What do you think the recommended requirements will be for the theatre? Lots of good gear and lots of good combat levels. When will you guys start answering questions from your YouTube chat? Said Hunt Nerds. Wow.
Can't really have both chats on the screen.
Yeah, that's a difficult one to have.
Try it, see how it looks.
I mean, we could trial it.
Give it a go.
I'm gonna see how it looks, but I've tried it before and it doesn't usually fit that well.
So, it's quite big.
Is this raid going to be purposely designed to not be soloable? I don't believe so. Said to forehead_chat. Oh, I know what they're going to do now. But I believe that we're not shying away from mechanics or difficulty because of the fact that someone will be solo. So it's balanced between 3 and 5 players. Yeah.
So that's how big it's going to be.
Okay. It's fairly big then.
It's quite big. I'd love it if you could just like get on that and ride it. That'd be awesome.
Mounts to old school.
Yeah, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, I think if we have both of those open, I'm not going to be able to see the questions.
Yeah, the chat's going to go too fast, John, if we try that.
That's how it looks, essentially.
Okay.
Okay. The YouTube one's okay, but
Can you zoom out on the...
I can do it,
On
but
it.
they won't be able to see it on the set later on, so
Oh, okay.
so you can't do it for both.
it's fine. We'll just we'll
Okay.
stay on the old Twitch. Sorry, YouTubers. This is the way it is for now. Insert comment here.
Is it possible we could get it on one of these other monitors as well?
Yeah, I can do
I
it.
could actually, yeah.
Cool.
Oh, sorry, John.
That's right, pardon the typing.
Someone said that John isn't helpful, and I just want to say that you are so wrong because John is one of the most helpful people in Jagex.
Oh, thank you.
Every stream that you see, every Q&A, the behind the scenes, this man works his buttocks off to get everything done. So
He actually has no buttocks left.
no, he
He's
doesn't.
worked so hard.
I will not try to disprove that.
Yeah, no, please, we'll keep this one PG. Will there be an exact raid rotation for challenge mode that changes every week? Norway_out. There's none that's going to come out with the release, but the cool thing with challenge mode is that we have a huge amount of potential to change things up. So we could have seasons, we could have different rotations for different reasons, and switch things up as and when we want to. So we're going to trial it, and then if it's a success and people like it, sure, we'll do as much as we can in as many different areas.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Hopefully it helps.
Interesting.
Oh wow! So we've actually got YouTube.
Yeah, we have
So
YouTube
this
now.
is like the YouTube comment section live now.
Yeah, the one place to avoid. We've delved into the enemy lines.
I want to see who our YouTube audience are.
Can we get an update on the thieving changes, when and where? No update to give you at the moment other than we are in the process of still collating feedback. We had thousands of responses come through, and we want to make sure that we get the best solution before going ahead. And that's about that, unfortunately, all I can give you, sorry. Will challenge mode let party leaders customise raids, or will it be set by JMods? Raid leaders will not be able to change the layout, it will be set by us. And it will be fixed for as long as we determine until, as I mentioned before, if it's really successful and people want to switch things up or have different seasons, then we can look at that. Nostal on YouTube asks, any thoughts on adding more cosmetic items for people who like FashionScape to clue scrolls? Okay. Sure. I like cosmetics. As long as they're achievable and you can get a hold of them, then I have no issue with them at all. I think a lot of people like them coming from clue scrolls. You just have to be careful of what items and how that will impact the kind of other ones existing and stuff. But I'm sure if you have some designs, again, feel free to send them over. Is there a 100% dark bow drop from this bad boy? Said Skeletoon. No. I don't think so. So with the Theatre of Blood, you won't get a huge amount of loot leading up to the final boss. The main crux of your loot will be, at the end. Up to that point, you'll just be rewarded a little bit here or there for your efforts, but you're not going to get anything significant. So, no, unfortunately, you will not get a guaranteed dark bow. Jill Sam on YouTube asks when the Revenant uniques are being polled. I did address this earlier, but for anyone that wasn't here before, benefit of the doubt, I will just say that the blog is ready, but I'm not ready to take on the feedback from it. I don't want to put something out that we can't guarantee we'll be able to get to you in a good time. So until I have more time to focus on it, it's been put on hold. But the blog's ready to go as soon as that moment appears. So it could be this week, it could be next week, it could be a month from now. I'll try and get a better date to give as to when we plan or intend to have something out by as like the latest, but I haven't had a chance to do that yet. Apologies. Any more questions related to art or graphics or this design stream in particular?
Why have we seen Mod Ghost animate the same leg for the last hour?
Is this because you deleted it by accident? I had to do it again.
No, I didn't delete it by accident. It was I accidentally copy pasted over something, which is a bit of a shame. But no, it's not related to that. It's mainly just because I'm trying to experiment on how to make this leg look decent when it moves.
Okay.
And then like after that, I just copy paste all of that onto the opposite leg.
Ah.
So I just have to do one leg, then copy it over. Just wondering how much time we've got left on this stream. So
It's 3:15 now.
yeah, so
15 minutes left of me, and is someone due in at past?
there's no one due in at past. No, so
Well, if the guys don't mind me staying around, I can stick around until Mod Ash appears. If you want the company,
amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be really good.
Okay. After I've just said that, I don't have time to dedicate to revs, and because I'm on the design stream.
You're doing good work here.
It's been a very interesting week, so yeah. This is my chance to just re-engage back with you guys. So, Hello 2030 says it's fine. Just give us stick figures and the boss with a big head, and Raids 2 is done. Mod Ghost, do you know what Alt F4 does yet?
Yes, I do. Oh, brilliant. Do you know, I came to work after that stream and the internal chat had mentioned that.
Yeah,
So,
that was great.
Fortunately, people had seen that.
It was great.
Oh, dear.
How does the loot system work with the Theatre of Blood, says DrewBiz96. So the loot system will, I believe that we mentioned that death is very punishing, so dying will reduce the chances of you getting a unique from the final boss. Throughout the raid, you will be rewarded here and there for your efforts, up until the final boss, which is when you have the chance of getting a unique. And yeah, that's pretty much it, as much as I can tell anyway at this moment in time. Can I flex? No. Sorry.
Flex?
Yeah, flex. Do a little gun show.
Oh, okay, alright.
Yeah.
No,
No.
it's not that kind of stream.
It's
You
definitely
can
not.
find streams for that somewhere else.
Sure, there'll be one and two in the IRL section. You can do gym sessions and stuff on IRL. Most people do. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
What is IRL?
In real life. So you do in real life streams on Twitch.
Ah,
So
okay.
non-gaming content, basically. What major programs do you guys use to design the game? From Mr. Agesis.
Major programs. We use 3ds Max, and that's. We sometimes use Photoshop to do the sprites and the occasional texture, because we do have a few textures for things like rooftops and water, etc. in game. Trees as well, we use textures on still. But other than that, that's about it. Photoshop and 3ds Max.
Okay.
It would be nice if we could eventually animate through Maya, but that's quite a long, long way away. But yeah, in the meantime, we're using this beautiful technology.
So when you say to use Maya, is that something that that is being progressed on in terms of developing our tools and like integration between other pieces of software, or is it just a nice thing that you would love to have?
It's something that I'd like to have.
Yeah.
We do use Maya within the company, but in terms of our progress on doing it for this, I don't see. I don't know enough about it to talk
Okay, that's fine.
intelligently on it. Yeah.
Yeah, just do it me, but that's as much as I can give you. Sorry.
Yeah.
I never answer a single question. I just leave everything open. My worst question taker. Would it be possible to give the option to increase the game's text size for people with poor eyesight? Vibbles, that's a very good question. It's not at the moment. I believe that the functionality would come with scaling interfaces, which is something that I guess kind of has been worked on as part of mobile, but it's a different process to get it working on desktop. But I imagine that in the future we will have some instance of, scalable interfaces. The future being anywhere from now to the end of time. So I don't know when, but I'd imagine it would be a possibility, yes. Okay, there's a few YouTube comments that we're just not going to read out.
Oh, go on.
No, I actually can't read them out. These something updates are quite useless. Okay, I'm sorry you feel that way. The name is ironically a hater, so yeah, it fits.
I think in general people like our updates, so I don't know. Yeah, because we do like review things to see if we're doing a good job. We don't just insist that we put into game what we like, and we poll things as well, don't we?
Yeah, of course, everything goes through a poll, and we have for big projects, there's always a retro where we discuss what went wrong and what we can do to improve. I think one of the biggest ones obviously was with Rev Caves and the way that got released, and everything that we've done since then to rectify.
Yeah.
And we're still obviously, time permitting, looking to improve on that. So if something goes out bad, we generally know about it as well, because you guys will let us know, and we look to do what we can to fix it when we can.
So what was the point that person was making then?
Oh, there wasn't any point. That's why I just.
Oh well, they must have been making some point. They don't really. Where are they getting the information from? People not liking what we're making.
It's the internet.
Oh, okay.
This is what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, that's a shame.
It's one of those things that you just accept it and we just move on.
Okay.
Any more questions? There's a lot coming through. There's a lot about content though, so sorry if I'm ignoring your kind of like content suggestion questions. I don't intentionally mean to. They just fly by so fast and they're so long. Did you learn how to use 3DX Max at school/university, or did you learn while employed at Jagex? That's another from Mr. Abesis.
I learned at university with 3ds Max, and then I just continued to use it here and just learn more every day from using it frequently.
Okay.
So yeah.
Marshall Mueller says, just want to say this monster is looking amazing, seriously.
Oh really? Okay, that's great. Thank you very much for saying that.
It came from YouTube, so.
I must say I like that YouTube audience equally as much as I like the Twitch audience. Very good.
There's a few people asking about what's my favourite game, but that's not RuneScape. It's a different game, but I think on the RuneScape stream we should probably talk about RuneScape. So.
Oh, that's all right. We do sometimes talk about other things. Sometimes me and Mod Kieran talk about movies.
Oh, okay.
Netflix when we're on here, so it's fine.
Well, everyone keeps asking what's my favourite Zelda game because I'm wearing a Zelda t-shirt.
Okay, cool.
But I think it's one of those games where I personally don't have a favourite game. I have favourite games that fit particular categories.
Okay.
So for most nostalgic for me was Ocarina of Time.
Uh-huh.
Best art style is Twilight Princess. Best one for gameplay is The Wind Waker. Best older game is Link's Awakening, and I would say that best game overall is Breath of the Wild.
Wow.
So
you've really thought about that.
I'm a huge fan. So
cool, man. I don't know if I've got a favourite game series. I tend to like Silent Hill.
Yeah.
I love those games so much, but they haven't released a Silent Hill game for ages. It's been too long. So in the meantime, I've been playing The Evil Within. I love that series. Basically, I like all the horror games. They're my favourite.
I remember you saying a lot of Resident Evil inspirations with other monsters and stuff you've worked on, right?
I love Resident Evil so much. I don't really like it since they went into more of an action game based format. I kind of preferred it when you literally had no ammo, no weapons, apart from just a really sparse amount distributed throughout the game. And also I like the fixed camera style that they had originally. It was very cool.
Okay. I remember the first Resident Evil I played on the PlayStation 1, and I could never get past. I think it was there's a mansion that you go through, and there's one room where you have a weapon with 3 bullets. And I could never do it, so I just never played it.
Okay, man.
And then I played it again later on in life. So, hey Novasea, I can see you there. You just said hey to me in chat. So, any other questions in here? Someone keeps asking for a green or blue version of that Anki outfit. Would we mind making one? We can't make one right now, but
Like,
Imagine that in the future we can add it as part of a cosmetic, like everything's almost possible, right? So
it's like Minty Anku.
Mintanku, yeah. Someone's asked, any news on when we get to see the backlog list? So it's actually the next thing that I'll be hopefully working on. It's just obviously the last couple of weeks we've had a lot go out and a lot of things happen. So a lot of my time has been tied up. But yes, the backlog is one of the next things that I want to work on before the end of this quarter. So that'll be leading us to, is it June? I think? I don't know, something like that.
I honestly don't know. No, I don't know. I think until we got Theatre of Blood out, we're pretty much tied up on stuff, aren't we? Yeah.
Oh, I love this. The backlog list is on the backlog. It's so ironic, but it actually, the reality is it is. Obviously, we all have priorities, right? And there's things that we've had to sort out that are a lot more impacting for you guys that you might not see yet, but you'll see in the future.
Mm-hmm.
That there's a lot of things that are happening in this time, and we have a lot of announcements to make. We were getting a little bit of information today about a certain event that we'd like to do, but that's all I'm going to say.
That's exciting. It could be dangerous if you say anything more.
Yeah. Well, everyone knows we do an event. I just had a little bit of information, so that's cool. But yeah, there's a lot of exciting things coming up. So yeah, unfortunately, it's just on hold for a little while. Business opportunity, hire the Salmons guy for head of JackX marketing. Oh, I love that guy on Reddit. There's a guy that's in the Grand Exchange who is selling salmons, but his name is Salmons, like salmon, but with an ES instead of just NS at the end. And yeah, he's just selling salmons, and everyone takes screenshots of him. It's quite funny.
Salmons.
Mod Ghost, have you read the manga Berserk?
I'm not really into manga. I used to. The only comics I ever read was when I was a kid. I was obsessed with Mortal Kombat. Like when I wasn't even a teenager. I used to just play those games all the time. And I think manga distributed a comic for Mortal Kombat, which I thought was just awesome. It's not well. If I think back at what those comics were like, it would probably the storylines were a bit basic, to be honest.
Yeah, then use your imagination though, right? So.
Yeah, I suppose so. But I just thought some of the pictures were really great in them.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that strikes me with a lot of kind of like anime things is that I just like the graphics.
Yeah,
and they're cool. So. Any news on Jar of Blood drop to make the Blood and Bone altar to skull and unskull in the player and house? I'm not sure, Snake, sorry.
Right. Okay, so just to update you on this, I've done both the arms and mirrored them. You can see like the shoulders kind of lift up on them. It looks nice and heavy, but if you look at it from the front, it just doesn't look like there's any movement going on around the centre just here. So what I have to do is create a transform just here so the back kind of oscillates from side to side so it feels like it's shifting its weight. There also needs to be a bit more movement in the neck as well, and also the body kind of needs to move up and down a bit as well, I think. So yeah, there's a fair old amount to still get through with this.
Okay. Well, you can see it coming along now though, with it moving in comparison
to get
before,
together.
So.
The last thing I'll deal with is those back legs just there, which are a bit messy at the moment. They're terrible, actually. It looks like frog legs. I think they could do with being a bit larger as well.
Okay.
It looks a bit too small. It looks cool from the side, but from the back it's just a bit peculiar.
Yeah. I think they are very small legs in comparison to the front. I know that's the whole, it's a mutated beast of sorts.
But yeah, it's a bit too accented, really, isn't it? It needs to... Yeah, okay, cool. Right, so my next thing here, I'm going to be dealing with the back. Yeah, it is skip leg day, absolutely. I've seen some guys down the gym that look like that.
Oh, this is a really good question. I wish I could answer.
Okay.
But I can't because it would give away things. But what is it? Oh, wait. What have you noticed that is the most unique feature of Theatre of Blood? From a designer's viewpoint. Okay, there you go.
What's the most unique feature?
Yeah.
Now I'm just trying to think through all of the features in for Theatre of Blood, which is a lot.
For the ones that
Find out
for
what's
ones that
the
they've
unique.
seen, I like the Maiden's animations.
They're okay. I mean, like I first started off, but everything that I'm working on at the moment, because I will always get like really engrossed in whatever I'm working on, and everything else outside of that doesn't really feel as cool or as
Okay.
interesting. Because I think if I was thinking about doing something else and how cool I can make that, then I wouldn't really be committed to whatever I'm doing.
So you just focus on the one thing.
Yeah, that's it. So I think that what I'm working on at the moment, I can't talk about the best feature,
Yeah.
which is really unhelpful.
Cool. Do you know what? Actually, I was in the meeting this afternoon for the Theatre of Blood update, and I say accidentally, I wasn't around last week on Wednesday to attend, so I've missed the best part of 2 weeks worth of progress, and I'm just going to say it now. I cannot wait until people see. From what I've seen, even though it's there's a lot of areas that are very well near finished, but a lot of areas that still need touching up. But everything that's gone into this, it looks incredible.
Cool.
One of the boss fights in particular is most definitely the unique feature, but I cannot tell you about it. I wish I could. It's so good. I can't wait until people see it. So yeah, there's a lot of things to look forward to with Theatre of Blood.
Yeah, someone's saying what we said earlier about increasing the back of it to make it larger.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right, really. I'll make that back bit a bit larger. It's a bit odd at the moment. So I don't know if I'm even going to get this done by the end of this stream, but is it still okay? So we just chat and people find this interesting?
I don't know. How do they feel?
Am I expected to get this done? I feel
Do you have to have
like
it
I am.
finished? Are you carrying on with it whilst we're going through the Q&A?
Yeah, I will be. Yeah,
Okay.
so people can kind of come
So we have
over
a
and
good
see what I've done.
45 minutes or so where I'm not going to be constantly chatting to you and distracting you.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I'm just conscious that people might start getting quite bored of seeing that
Okay.
for like the next.
They're like,
several
just
hours.
chat, continue, chat about video
someone's-
games and
someone's
movies.
just looking at you anyway.
Take your time, just looking. Oh, right.
That's fine.
Interesting.
Okay.
So just chat. Okay. All right. I think the general consensus is that we're good.
Okay, cool.
We'll have a little chin wag whilst we're here.
Good. So no more breaking the fourth wall discussing the format of this, right?
Oh dear.
Okay, so what I've got to do now is I've just got to make this top of the back move. So this is a good way for me to illustrate how this skeleton works just here.
Okay.
So what I do is I find a place which is nearest to the back, which is shoulders just here. And you can see from the shoulders we move down into the head and neck, which is on the list just here. So what I have to do is insert a new origin using this interface, which is basically a new point on the skeleton. And I'm going to call it back, upper.
Okay.
If there's not already something called that, there's upper body. Actually, I'll just call it like back lift. Traps. They're traps. They should be called traps, right? Okay. So I enter that in, and then insert a rotate below that. Now you can see that origin's just kind of drifting right in the center of the stage, just there. So I need to tell it where to go.
Okay.
So what I do is I turn on the labels just here. So we draw the labels, and then we zoom in, and you can see we've got body front just here, which is roughly where I want it to be. So in this filter down the bottom, I type in body front, and there it is right there. So you can see that origin now moves to the middle of where body front is. Then on this rotate just here, I then also select body front, and as well as that, I also want to select everything that body front connects to most likely. So I'm just going to insert what's called a translate one, which will also kind of just lift this up and down like so. So what I can do with that as he walks is move these out of the way and stop him from moving. So as he walks, you can see that I can actually lift the back up and down now as well. I can also make it rotate from side to side slightly too.
Okay.
So that's basically how this is going to work. I just need to kind of do it with a little bit more style and care as we go throughout. So that's what I'm going to be working on for the next, say, 20 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Syncing that up with everything.
So within then, but hopefully by the time Mod Ash joins us at 4, which is in 30 minutes from now, we'll have kind of a more of an animated back whilst he walks.
Yeah, hopefully.
Cool. So a few people have asked why are we designing the boss based on a dark beast rather than a nail beast, which already exists within Mauritania. I personally don't know the reason behind that. I'm sure there's a reason, but I would probably just say that a lot of the creatures and bosses that you find within the Theatre of Blood, they're not necessarily there because they were found within Mauritania. They're there because they're abominations, they're experiments, they're beasts that the vampires have gone out and obtained for Lady Verzik's entertainment, and experimented with them and tested what they could make, and there could really be anything in there. So
yeah, that's true. I don't have an answer for that other than what you've said. I'd assume they've gone round all over the world, because I haven't been like writing the lore for this and actually acquired these creatures to actually put in there. Yeah, I think I just got the brief. I was told it's a dark beast.
okay,
So,
there you go.
That's
That's
all
cool.
the insight I can offer.
That makes sense. Is there a cockatrice creature? Maybe.
It could be.
And a kraken? Maybe. And a jad? Maybe. A zook? There could be even 3 in there. Who knows?
There could be many things. I mean, don't expect to sort of. Is it the Tower of Life where you've got all these sort of
Oh yeah, the
peculiar creations?
things that you can
Don't
put together.
expect to like have anything on that level.
So yeah, someone just mentioned about spoilers. I think a lot of that information was listed within the actual Theatre of Blood dev blog, that these are creatures, abominations, and experiments. So
Yeah,
I don't think I spoiled anything there.
well, I think as well, there's a certain amount of responsibility you have to take in when you sort of tune into a design stream that's going behind the scenes of how
Sure.
a project's
I
going to
mean,
be
this is a
developed.
spoiler in itself. You've seen the
Yeah.
boss before it's released. So how many jads has Kieran added? I can't say.
Hopefully none. We don't really want Jads.
Come on, you meant to play along with it and be like, were you meant to have said that? Does that thing have a name? If it doesn't, I would suggest the Blood Beast says, pleased peasant.
I'd be careful, please, peasant, because I said midnight earlier and everyone started saying terrible things about me and the model as well. I'm not sure if Blood Beast is going to do much better than that. It might do. What do we think to Blood Beast?
Someone says so creative.
Oh, okay.
Blood-starved
beast.
Yeah?
Starved beast. Call this- We could make it very skinny.
Yeah, we could. But that wouldn't be too... I wouldn't mind that, actually,
That'd be really freaky, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm
'Cause-
thinking, like, going back to Resident Evil, the zombie dogs.
Oh, okay,
There's,
yeah.
like, parts of them just, like, not there.
They're Dobermans, aren't they?
Yeah. Imagine a,
So
like,
you
a
can't
dark
go for
beast
that.
that half of it just doesn't exist. Because it's, like, I don't know, been cut away.
That would be cool. I was thinking like of maybe having something about this, as it looks like it's been chained up at some point.
Okay.
So I might add additional things like that to it if there's
Big
time.
bloody beastie boy.
Big. I don't know if can we say bloody? Because it sounds like in the context of that. Name.
Yeah, maybe. Well, it's too late now.
It's bad. Well, I've said it twice as well, haven't I?
Oh, bloody hell. So the boss does have an actual name, right? I can't remember
does.
how to pronounce it properly.
It's Sotetseg.
Sotetseg. Okay, there we go.
I kind of like that because it sounds otherworldly.
Yeah. Hemogoblin. I like that.
Was it Hemogoblin?
Yeah, Hemogoblin.
That's amazing.
Okay. I'm not reading that one.
Where is it? Can you point it out?
No. Hemogoblin. So yeah, any more questions, feel free at Old School RS. Anything that you want to ask. If we can try and avoid like content suggestions that aren't related to Theatre of Blood or this stream, just because it will help us keep everything on track. I don't mind answering them, but there's a lot of them that there's just too much detail for me to get through. So a nice quick question about, what's happening at the moment, what's coming up, what's Ghost's best thing to do with art, and that kind of stuff. You're also welcome to ask anything. It's just I might not see it, and I apologise. So, how's your day? Says Tricat.
It's going great. I was really stressed out getting everything sorted
Yeah.
for the stream this morning. I'm glad it's all started, and I can just sit here and just do my work and
Get on with it.
Yeah.
I was kind of like the same after the whole incident yesterday, and that put a hold on kind of like getting the updated blog out for the Moss Giant boss.
Mhm.
And obviously we had to pull out today, so I was a bit like concerned that it was a very fast turnaround, but
Yeah.
then it turned out well because I was comfortable with the feedback we'd had. comfortable that what we've done was the right thing, and it seems to be passing in the polls now. So, you can just kind of like go, oh, that was good.
Yeah, it sounds like you did it well, man.
We got there. Someone says, who puts the examine options in game?
Generally, the person that writes the config, they might get edited. Like often, I'll put an examine in and think, oh, that was so funny, and then I'll check it in game and be like, oh,
it
weren't that funny, because someone's come up with a better one. So yeah, it can really be anyone. QA will check them, and I generally put a note on the job if I've put an examine on there, just in case.
So people want to check it out. And,
yeah. I also do things like in the internal chat as well. I'll kind of ask people for suggestions for what an examine should be.
Okay, that's cool. I think as you say, a lot of the devs do. That's one of my favourite things about old school is examine options. They're the thing that I always, whenever there's new content, I'll run around and I'll purposely not do it as part of a playtest. Although sometimes I have to check for errors and stuff, but mostly I'll like to just jump in game and just spend an hour to just waste time and just check everything, and just you get to know the person that's developed it a bit that way, because you can see the sense of humour and kind of like what ties they bring in, and I get that.
Okay, that's cool. So, I didn't know that.
Will we be getting lore of the bosses in Raids 2? It says, hi, I'm Google Fox. I think in terms of lore for the bosses, actually, it's a really good question. Ed's probably the best one to ask that, so I'll have a chat with him before the Q&A and find out. But it would be nice if, I'm sure that he's got some very good ideas in terms of lore if he hasn't already. So
I'd probably be surprised if we didn't, because we did last time we did a raiding dungeon. Yeah. So it might come in the form of a drop from the boss, maybe, or there may be another place to get it from. But yeah, I wouldn't see the point in writing all of that. We've got all the lore in the system.
Okay. How many bosses still have to be designed? Well, that is a question you are not getting an answer from on this stream. What's your all-time favourite old-school RuneScape monster? From Lawrence LG.
Oh, sorry, man.
That's okay.
My favourite all-time old-school RuneScape monster. Oh boy, I'm going to say one that I'm doing on this project again that I can't talk about, and that's really not helpful.
That's fine, because they'll understand when it comes out.
It's a stupid question, because everyone's going like, no, just tell us one that we can talk about. So I'm very sorry. Yeah, I should do that. I'm going to do that right now. I think probably Zook would be my favourite.
Okay.
Just because I had a lot of fun making him, and I was also I'm kindly predisposed to him because when I was watching the stream when we released that content, no one had seen him before, was aware of him.
Okay.
And it was really nice to see.
It was great when they just like, what the...
Yeah, it was so cool. So it's definitely that one.
Cool. I think for me, it's a relatively recent one. It will be Vorkath.
Cool.
I love the whole quest and the lead up to it and everything else. And Vorkath itself as a boss, I think, is fantastic. So it's definitely my favourite.
Oh, wait, sorry. That's wrong. I like Vespula the most.
Okay.
I think that's one of the most clean models that I made for the raiding dungeons. And the
it's definitely a good model. I think a lot of people will disagree because they don't like the encounter, but as an actual boss model...
Do they not like the encounter?
I think it's one of the ones that needs a little bit of like TLC to make it just on par with the others.
Oh really? What did they like about it?
I think it's... I can't remember exactly, but I'm sure it's something to do with the way that the damage works on there and bringing it down.
Okay, fair enough.
So I can't remember 100%. But yeah, there's something about it that needs a little tweak.
So it's not like that it's boring to play or anything like that?
No, I just don't. I think it's a lot of people with raids, they scout for the best kind of like layouts because it's randomised, and that's one of the ones that will typically just kind of like get left.
Okay, fair enough.
I think it just takes longer because it can heal of some sorts.
Okay.
I don't want to try and carry on trying to remember. I have it listed down somewhere, but I just off the top of my head can't figure it. Oh, here we go. You use way more supplies than any other boss. You basically need prey enhance, or you waste a ton of prey. Okay.
Okay.
Is the design team experimenting with future technology, for example, VR or AR?
Or our design team? No, we've got no plans for that for old school.
How cool would RuneScape VR be?
I think it'd be good, but you'd need like input from the team really, and it's kind of it's just.
I think if we're like too far, like I think if HD is a little bit of a big project, I'd imagine that Virtual reality scape is probably a bigger project.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, anything else we do outside of this, our day-to-day stuff is always going to detract from the game. So it's really difficult to do anything else.
I'll tell you what, though, that would be it would be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. I wouldn't mind doing that.
I'd be like running him in my room and someone would come in like, Lisa, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, no, I'm gonna beat him. I'm gonna beat him. PK'd or something. Oh dear.
So I've actually finished this back. That didn't take too long.
Okay, there we go.
So back's kind of.
You know what you're saying about doing things in 2 seconds? You really live up to that, don't you?
Yeah. I just don't like to slow my own trumpet.
Okay. Do we have any more questions that are coming in? People are saying, whoa, PogChamp, that's good. Spaghetti Swooty. It's because of the way it moves a bit. Can you guys please, this is the same person that asked about AR, VR. Can you guys please not change old school RuneScape too much? Any changes that we do make will be big changes like that would be community driven, and we would never do anything like change the way the style or design or anything like that without considering it with everyone. And that's pretty much all I could say. I don't ever imagine we would do HD if it didn't go through, and I mean that's even saying if we ever would do HD, I don't know.
I think when people say, because the terminology is quite vague to that question, so the person said too much, so it's kind of like that. Yeah. That can vary per person. It's quite a subjective term. So that's why we have a polling system to make sure we don't change it like too much outside of the median expectation of our community. Yeah. So don't worry, it's kind of like the poll system's essentially there to make sure that could never happen.
It's the right thing for the majority, and there's always going to be instances where someone has a different opinion that they're not entirely happy about, and that's going to happen with every game. No matter how much you try and mitigate it, you can't please everyone when there's hundreds of thousands of people that play a game. We just do our best to please as most people and try and stick as true to everything as we can.
Yeah.
So, this is getting asked a lot. Would you add the burning amulet to the jewellery box in the player-owned house? I think it's probably possible. I imagine we could poll it. I'm not saying we will, but we could. Oh, they love your voice, Mod Ghost.
I actually don't like my voice.
Really?
So it's really nice that they say that. Whenever I hear myself, I always think, oh, it's quite a normal voice. So I don't really get it. But thank you very much.
It's a very soft-spoken, smooth kind of tone to your voice.
It's quite a disadvantage because most of the time people can't hear what I'm saying to them.
Oh, okay.
So I have to shout. And you can see if I get quite close, my voice is actually quite gravelly. So if I try and talk any louder than
refined.
that,
ooh, I like that one.
It hurts my voice to actually talk loud at people. So
okay.
I get quite lazy about doing it. And then people go, "What? I can't hear you."
If content got passed and turned out the majority of people didn't like it, I didn't read the last part, but I assume it's something to do with would you remove it? And I would imagine that the answer would be no, because if it passed, some people obviously wanted it. We'd probably look to do everything that we can to make it be in a position where more people are happy than unhappy. I don't know actually what we would do if we would just straight up remove something. I don't think we would. We could poll removing something if it went in. But it's an interesting question and one that I've never thought about.
Or it's poll removing something entirely.
Well, I mean, we have poll removing things or preventing things from happening, but like a piece of content that people wanted and then didn't want. I mean, I know one example that people are going to say. I'm just not going to go there because it's about to happen in the chat.
Well, it's only hypothetical, so
of course.
What would you think?
It would be. I mean, there's always a lot of talk about delete rev caves because of the sentiment that came along with those. But I think when rev caves came out, as much as people weren't happy with them for the way they came out. Well, in fact, I don't think rev caves were the biggest of the issue. I think it was more the sentiment around the update as a whole, and that made the Revenant caves kind of take the whole brunt of it because they passed with well over 85% yes. So there was obviously a huge demand for them, but obviously we had the reused assets where they were, and that obviously brought a lot of negative sentiment. But the actual rev caves themselves, take everything else away from it, all of the reused stuff and the recolors, the actual content that it provided was, I've not seen so much positive feedback from the people that engage with rev caves for any other update. It's been absolutely astounding, and the amount of people that have engaged with it actually is ridiculous. So I would say that a lot of people like to carry on with the whole meme with it, and I understand that completely. I'm not saying that anyone's wrong for saying what they do, but I do think that actually there are a lot more people out there that enjoy it, and I think the things that we did to fix what we didn't do right the first time round was a very good move, and I'm very glad that we were able to do that, and I think what we're doing in the future for it as well will only make it even better. So in that instance, I wouldn't want to look at removing rev caves now, because I know that there are thousands of players, and the data suggests I think it was something like a 57 or 47% increase in wilderness activity across the entire game when they came out. There was a lot more, and I'm sure that we had a target of how many people would go there as a rough estimation, and it was over 3 times that amount. So yeah, it's definitely one that we're going to carry on looking to improve on.
I think there's a lot of reasons why you wouldn't do that. The 3 main ones I can think of is you've essentially dedicated your team to work on a project and spend lots of man hours and time, and which is the same thing, and money essentially on creating something, and then to put in the premise that you can then remove it. Kind of from a business perspective, you can't really maintain doing stuff like that, can you?
I wouldn't imagine,
no. No, and as well as that,
because imagine let's think that let's be realistic. When Zaya first came out, there wasn't very many people that really enjoyed Zaya when it first initially released. Very similar to Rev Caves, but not in the same sense. Similar in the sentiment towards it, right?
Sure.
Look at how Zaya has changed now, and the things that have came along with it. Yeah, maybe they should have been there from day one. Hands up, they probably should have. But the scale of the project, a lot of things came with Zaya, and now there's a lot of cool new things being in there. And there's actually, again, a load of people that really love that. They love the quests, they love the stories, and the houses and everything else that's brought along with it. So I reckon if we were to look at Zaya today towards Zaya Day 1, it would be 2 completely different kind of standpoints from the community. So
okay.
It has a long way to go, to be honest. Yeah, it does. I agree with you, Stenby. Completely agree with you. But I think that it's a lot better now than it was before. And I believe that there are some plans in the works in terms of tap projects to do a few little redesigns here or there. So, yeah.
Is that to the Rev Caves?
No, to Zaya.
Oh, to Zaya, sorry.
Yeah, I think Mod West was working on something. I don't want to say anything because if it's his project, I don't want to talk about it without the full details, but I remember we had a very brief conversation around something that he was intending to look at going towards the community for in the near future. So
cool.
Obviously with Theatre of Blood at the moment taking up a huge amount of resource and trying to get that ready and putting everything into it, I can't imagine it will be until after then, but yeah, there's some stuff that there's potential for the future. Will this raid be playable on mobile when mobile comes out and when the raid comes out? Yeah. Just like everything in the game can be played on mobile. It's not just for AFK. Hey Aiza, I always upvote your posts on Reddit. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. A lot of people downvote my comments on Reddit.
I downvote your comments on Reddit.
Do you?
Yeah, the whole time.
I think Mod Sween does. I think every time I post, Mod Sween's got a notification, he just downvotes me. Yeah. Do you know when we're going to get Tournament Worlds back? Said Mind Blown Jeff. I don't mind blow Jeff. Sorry. I like Tournament Worlds though. I'm trying to think if there's any content that we have that might potentially warrant them. I think the next time we'll have Tournament Worlds would potentially be to test Rev rewards. Maybe when we get round to doing that blog. Maybe they'll come out beforehand. Do you? This is an interesting question from Haggis RS. Do you think working with such a vocal community is stressful? Do you enjoy the streams?
I really do like these streams when they're going. It's a bit tricky at times to prepare them, because there's lots that goes into it behind the scenes, and lots of time, and often you have to manage all your other work around doing these streams as well. So that's why I try and combine the two by just kind of sitting down and doing what I do throughout the day without trying to do something too ambitious. What was the other part of the question? The community, did you say?
Yeah, is it? Do you find it stressful working with such a vocal community?
No, I really encourage people to be vocal about everything. I think even if you get comments from people where they've not really articulated very well what they think, occasionally people can be quite annoyed when they message to you. I think I prefer to know what I'm doing wrong and know that people can actually get in contact with me and tell me to stop doing it, or at least give their opinion on something for me to consider, so that way I can actually do whatever I'm alleged to be doing wrong correctly, or at least give it some consideration. What I wouldn't want is to be working on something and be thinking it was the best thing I've ever done and the community's going to love it, and then just put it out there and everyone absolutely hates it, and it's just like a big kind of slap around the face then, isn't it?
Okay.
So I think I'd much rather be in the state we are now, just not have that communication there.
No, I definitely appreciate the communication. So I'll tackle the stream one first. Yes, I love the streams. I find the Q&A is difficult at times, mostly because there's a lot of kind of like suggestions and ideas that come through, and we're obviously players here and we all have our own opinions on certain things, and I'm the kind of person that doesn't shy away from saying my opinion, but ultimately a lot of people don't agree with your opinions, as you would expect, because everyone has their own. And the thing that a lot of people tend to forget is that, you know, an opinion doesn't mean that it impacts what's going to happen. At the end of the day, I work on behalf of the community, so it's even if I say one thing, it doesn't mean that that's the be all and end all, because we're here to listen, and that's what we do.
Sure.
In terms of the vocal community, do I find it stressful? I don't think I find the vocal community stressful. I think the thing that's the most stressful from what I do is when there's certain things have gone on and we've said things as a response, and you know, you can never say enough, and I think that's the biggest problem that we face, is that we can never say enough to completely quash all issues. I'd love to be in a position to say, you know, yes, this, but the reality is that we can't always do that.
Okay.
So, yeah. Aside from that, I have no real complaints. There's a lot of back and forth at times, which can get not stressful, but it's just a little bit. You're like, okay, so I wonder why they're thinking this now, whereas last week they were thinking this. You know, a lot of it is in terms of like, oh, there's too much content coming out, and then there hasn't been a significant update for ages. Hey, there's too many updates. You should slow down the updates, and there's not been enough updates. That happens a lot, and I get it. It's just difficult to try and kind of like figure out the mentality behind that, and there's like no pattern to it. And I'd love to be able to understand it so that I can make sure that the work I do reflects the community's thoughts and opinions at the time. But
okay, I think really what I try to remember whenever I communicate with someone from the community is you're actually talking to a person, and people can be quite unpredictable in what they say, not just in general, consistently even. They're quite different from day to day. I know my opinion on certain things can vary day to day, depending on a variety of factors. Especially if it's, say, something that's mood related. You could have someone that's having a very bad day that just is not very good at articulating something.
Yeah.
So I think you've just generally got to look across the board, and if you do that, the majority of people are going to have a moderate and balanced opinion. Yeah.
I think you're right. That's one of the things I think I learned very quickly when I first joined, was that one thing I definitely learned was the way you word certain things is like, I've always been a very much to the point kind of person, but when that translates across in text rather than in voice, it can sometimes kind of like reflect arrogance or just like dismissal of a problem. And that's been something that I tried to work on, whereas actually I'm not trying to say that, I'm just trying to get a response out as fast as possible, say this is it, this is pretty much what I know, and you know, at times that doesn't actually mean that it's the best response to give. Sometimes you have to, you know, change things up. So
Okay.
someone's asked us about who's making the music for Theatre of Blood. Particular name there I'm not aware of, Spot, sorry, but the music team themselves have put together a few tracks. I heard a couple of them today actually, and we might potentially be able to show you some off next week.
Oh, really?
Maybe.
That's cool.
Yeah, if they agree to it, I think we might get one of the audio team onto the Q&A.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and they've done some fantastic tracks already.
Yep. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it's all been done in house, I believe. So.
You can't really do spoilers for audio. You have to listen to it. It's difficult to describe a song, so I can talk a little bit about it. Essentially, it's going to try and feel like one continuous track.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire theatre, and it's going to have various changes in pacing and mood based on which room you go into.
Okay.
And it will be very much suited to the visual style at the same time as well. So,
from what I heard, it sounds like what you've just described. So
yeah, I've heard bits of it, and it sounds very, very good.
It was very good. Well, another person has just walked in, so I think this is my time to bid my farewells.
It
but
isn't.
fear not, I will be back in an hour for the old school Q&A. In the meantime, I'm going to leave you within the very much capable hands of Mod Ash. So enjoy, and thanks, Mod Ghost.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Hello, me again. He's certainly, or she, I can't tell.
Well, you never can tell, really.
Well, we never do model anything underneath. I've looked at the pictures.
They encourage me not to allow people to be able to tell. So,
well, somebody asked me the gender of the Chaos Elemental, so I just tweeted a photo of the underside of it, because just rotate the model to another angle and show them this is what's underneath it. Not a darn thing.
cool.
Guess Chaos Elementals don't do it like that.
No. Well, you know the drill.
Mm-hmm.
There is our people.
Yes. Perhaps you could fill me in on. Well, you said you got a war cannon there, then.
Yeah, we've got this going. So basically, I've had to do a bit of re-rigging all down here. It's the rig list just here for people with all the transforms, and I've got his shoulders moving as he's walking now. So I'm just trying to make him just feel very grounded, and his feet no longer oscillate into the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Dark Beast and the Night Beast as well, because when they were walking, the feet were just kind of very angular. It didn't really feel like it landed very well. Now I'm just working on the back legs. I need to straighten them up a bit, and then I should be more or less good to go. I need to get like a shadow underneath him and everything like that, but as soon as this is done, then I can just take, say, the frame that he starts on, and then you just take that out and make that the idle. And then when that loops into this, it's seamless, so
Awesome.
you never get those visual snaps.
Great.
And then after that, I can just keep him, I can just make animations from that pose. So say he's got this special attack, we can't go into too much detail about it, and no one would ever guess what it's going to do. So with that, we basically just introduced the shadow that we've seen on other NPCs, and maybe a few lighting effects, and basically revolve it around this idle animation and give him something quite brief, and then it's just basically me animating the smoke effects and stuff to make it feel like it's something visually interesting.
Yeah.
Without too much effort on the NPC side,
Yeah.
so it's quite a nice thing to work on. And the good thing about this as well is we've also got the Dark Beast just here. If I switch him on so he's visible, so all his animations are visible to me as well. So
Yes.
I can pretty much. This was an
It's like
NPC.
he goes faster.
He does a bit, doesn't he? Just slam down. There we go. With him, I had to, or her, I had to load this NPC in on the side, so you can see it's kind of a bit dodgy the way it moves now. But if we look at it from the front, you can pretty much get the idea. So normally what I can do is just move it so they're in the centre, and then trace over the top of these animations. If I wanted to, I could just grab all of that and paste it over this NPC and then tweak it from then on. So it's quite a diverse process actually making these animations when you've already got an NPC which pretty much is inspiring what you're doing
Yeah.
from the ground up.
Awesome.
Cool, so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. A bit of info for you, actually. While you were doing this stream, we had the split sprint planning meeting.
Oh, okay.
And we put down that since you're making these animations now, in fact, we had evidence on Twitch in real time, we figured that doing the rest of Sotetseg's animations would be an appropriate thing to include in this sprint.
Yeah, sure.
Along with finishing off Verzik and her stuff. I hope that's all right.
Yeah, it's fine. I sent Mod Kieran a list of all the stuff that I intended to do,
Yeah.
and it pretty much had all of that.
Good, good.
So yeah, it's absolutely fine.
Yeah. Hope you don't have too much of workload for this one.
I think I can deal with too much of a workload for this one because I don't know about you, but I'm having lots of fun.
The fact that you've had to make some of these things for the creative services team so that they can get working on other materials is something we're now trying to take into account rather than realising you've got to do several days extra work somehow in between your other work.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love an extra, as you put it, an extra 24 hours a day. That would be very useful.
Oh, God, yeah. Or maybe if we didn't sleep.
Yeah, that's always an option.
Mm-hmm.
It really is an option. Apparently, Einstein only slept for 2 hours a day.
Wow.
But he managed to live to quite a ripe old age and come up with some pretty good ideas.
During my holidays, I like to sleep for 2 hours in a day and about 8 in the night.
2 hours at 8 in the night?
Well, yeah,
Oh,
have a
2
nice
hours
nap
a
in the
day.
afternoon between movies or something.
I see what you mean. Right, I thought you meant 2 hours a day at 8 in the night.
Oh, no,
I thought
no,
that
and
was
another 8 at night. yeah.
Crazy. I would almost believe that, to be honest.
I do like sleeping. Anywho. So we've got that coming up, and in the meantime, I've got most of the code done for this person, this boss,
Oh, great, okay.
which obviously doesn't look too good at the moment because it hasn't got the animations you've just made. But the model is certainly there in the placeholder environment, with its legs stretching in all hilarious directions.
Great.
It's been quite fun to work with, but we've got the special behaviour of the challenge coded up and basically working. And when Mod Rise got the environment done, I'll be pouring my code into it so that it's ready for playtesting.
Yeah, I need to get stuff done for Verzik ASAP, really, for Mod Kieran. But then I intend to go straight onto this, so fingers crossed we've got something that's coming together, maybe almost complete, maybe, by next week. So that'd be very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yes. Let's see, Dragon Rider King 2 is asking whether the animation moves the boss in-game or whether it animates on the spot and moves with code. It animates on the spot and moves with code, but for the purposes of the animators like Mod Ghost, trying to see what that looks like, the animated tool is able to give the impression of movement so that you can see how it would work.
This is what NPCs look like if they could run. That would be great, wouldn't it? Is it ever possible for us one day to perhaps have run on our NPCs? Is that
Yes.
great? Okay.
Mod Atlas from Engine said that what they'd have to do is let us have a mode where the NPCs execute their move processing twice in a server tick rather than once.
Okay.
The tricky bit is we also wanted crawl mode, because you can do some great mechanics with that. Obviously run is more powerful and we want it for a lot more stuff, but RS3 got run and crawl in the same update and we were hoping they might be able to copy and paste out of that for us.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know how much of the code's reusable in that way or how divergent our code bases are, but we do hope to be able to get run one day.
The possibilities that would open up for us with bosses if we had run would be immense. What would you imagine to do for crawl? I mean, is it something you can reveal or?
Well, what I used it for a long time ago in 2011 was the Polypole dungeon, where the NPCs crawl towards you slowly, and you can freeze them in place quite easily, and that also reduces their defense so that you can get a few easy hits in before they start crawling towards you again.
Okay.
And the thing you don't want to do is have them get right up close, because if they get close enough to you, they start kind of rubbing their infested bodies against you,
Okay.
and you take rapid unblockable damage from the fungal nastiness on them.
That's cool. So it's kind of like the mummy effect, where it walks very slowly, and when it catches you, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And if we did that in an environment without scenery, or without the same kind of scenery, then we could have one where you really do want to keep on the move quite slowly.
Yeah. Okay.
The animators at the time created creatures with the Ganodermic beasts they made. They gave them one big hand and one little one. The little one kind of flails at you but doesn't do very much. The big one is used to drag it along the ground on its tummy.
Oh, I've seen that NPC before. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really peculiar.
Yeah, we got a great concept artist on that project. Although when I was discussing the kinds of creatures I wanted in there, I told him that. Well, I told him about the Ganodermic beast. It's a great big lumbering thing that moves slowly, but you don't want to get too close to it. I told him about the Griffler Pine and the Griffler Roo. Like, half mushroom, half hedgehog for the Griffler Pine, and half mushroom, half kangaroo for the Griffler Roo. And he heard me say half mushroom, half kangaroo. He just gave me one of those looks.
I'm not surprised.
Then he went away and made something god awful, and it's brilliant for what it is. I mean, it's kind of dead content, but
I remember you showed me the Grifflery when I was trying to do the mushroom for Fossil Island, which can be seen in the Varick Museum.
yes,
So yeah, I'm well aware of it. It's peculiar.
yeah, they put kind of headdresses on them made out of bones.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, today as well, we've got YouTube chat as well. I don't know if you're watching upstairs.
Oh,
So we've got 2 lots of chat to talk to.
yes.
So
They don't like centre partings on YouTube.
They don't know. Is that a meme or?
Well, no, this one just feels like our hairstyles need changing.
Oh, okay.
Probably more mine, but
I don't know. I think centre partings are cool.
yes. I was given this at school when I was 14, and I decided to keep it
Stuck
ever
with it
since.
since.
Well, I had a side parting back then.
I'm not too keen on side partings, I'll be honest with you there.
Neither am I.
Right.
Massdreams GT wants to know: will there ever be a way to try a free trial of membership in old school? Yeah, we did do that. Thing is, if we're going to do a thing like that, the aim would be to encourage non-members to like the members features and subscribe. That would be the aim of it. It wouldn't just be a free treat for everyone. We'd kind of want something out of it. Hey, company don't run on air after all. And the last one we tried, what we found is that a handful of people did subscribe over it. I think the number was under 100. And what we also saw is that all the existing members, especially those who pay by bonds, arranged their resubscription schedule so that they didn't pay for that weekend, and we lost 3 days of membership fees from a lot of people, and didn't really gain anything. And if we gained so few new members from it, that suggests that the free-to-pay people weren't really trying out the members features and getting interested in them. So, no, I don't think it certainly didn't work. I don't think we'll be doing it again, certainly not like that. If we ever do, what we agreed at the time was that it would need to be part of a much bigger project to revamp the new player experience, the new member player experience. If we'd done that kind of thing, then maybe it would have more likelihood of working out. Personally, I just don't see it, I'm afraid. Let's see.
Could I ask a favour?
Oh, please.
Would you be okay if I just went and grabbed a drink and?
Go right ahead, I bring one.
Nice one. Thanks very much. I'll
What's
be
that,
5
what
minutes.
was that bottle?
That's not.
That's
not
not
the
a
kind of drink that I need.
Oh, right. I think we're going to have some outstandingly creative work done presently. Now, Lord Hunt 1X wants to know, how exactly does the farming ticks work after the rework you did? Because their herbs used to grow at 0 past the hour, 20 past the hour, 40 past the hour. Now it's more like 3 past the hour, 23 past the hour, etc. So, what was going on there is that farming ticks were aiming for, on the hour and every 5-minute interval thereafter. But by logging out and in at awkward intervals, you could disrupt your farming ticks and make them just not happen at all. And you'd end up with, something that should grow in, maybe it was meant to grow in a day, and it would be anything from 2 hours to 2 days. That's a ridiculous kind of variance to have, especially for brewing. God help us if any of you've been doing brewing. Anyway, I made it more regular so that logging in and out doesn't much interfere with when the ticks happen. They happen as close as possible to when they're meant to happen. Thing is, I also was terrified, of overloading the servers with too much code. Because when farming first came out, the dev did overload the servers, and they just didn't work very well for a couple of days. So he and Andrew Gower, the founder, they had to work quite closely together, get some new stuff bolted into the engine to help him optimise it. In particular, we got the greater than and equals to comparator and the less than and equal to comparator. Previously we only had greater than and less than. We couldn't do greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. And a lot of the farming code therefore became more efficient once we had that. So that was a bit of a win for us. It's amazing what an engine team can do. And yeah, I was afraid of getting back that kind of problem by rewriting the logic, which is a bit more elaborate now that it's trying to count ticks more accurately than it was before. In order to avoid having the server doing all this stuff all at the same time for everybody, one of the things I did was just desynchronize it slightly, so that rather than having everybody try to run their main growth ticks on the hour, spread it out. Because it makes little difference to the gameplay. You clearly know when it's running for you. But it means that we're less likely to have unexpected, behaviour problems every hour on the hour, or every 5 minutes, as everybody runs their farming ticks at the same time. Okay, Mr. Obesis wants to know how the design team and developer team work together. Well, we don't really have a design team. We tend to use the customers for ideas, and boy do you send plenty of them. Every developer is expected to be able to function as a designer. We assess this during the recruitment process. I'm not going into detail about exactly how we assess it, but there are design challenges, short essays to write about some pieces of existing design, what's good about them, what's bad about them. We expect that anybody coming into old school will be able to talk with insight about the design of it and what they would bring to the table to help us improve that in future. And we don't have anybody whose full-time job is just to sit around designing stuff. But everybody in the team is expected to be able to participate in that and is given the opportunity to do so. That is in a sense how RuneScape was in the old school era. Although we had Mod Mark, and in fact he's still around, and he was overseeing all the designs, he wasn't necessarily sitting there churning out his own designs, putting them on people's desks and saying, program me one of those. So he'd tell me, hey Ash, I wouldn't mind a wise old man quest. So I sat around for a couple of evenings and designed Swan Song. He said, nice, but can it, don't use haddock as the fish, because haddock doesn't sound very interesting. Happens, I like haddock, but he suggested, well, catfish are an interesting fish. I've seen a picture of a catfish, it looks very interesting indeed, but since the environment I'd been assigned for the fishing colony to go is in the north, and catfish sound kind of tropical, I didn't really quite want to go there, so we ended up with monkfish, because monkfish are delicious. I've not had them very often, kind of pricey too, but I had a monkfish curry and I liked it.
The Tesco near my place sold these monkfish tails for £4. It was huge, 2 of them.
Okay.
Reduced price. I thought, right, I'm having those.
I had to shop into that Tesco. I got some really cheap steak as well last Christmas.
Yeah, they do it. Yeah.
Anywho, I think Swan Song went down reasonably well. People seemed to enjoy the humour and the access to the fishing colony at the end, so I don't have any particular regrets on that. Although, funnily enough, what I wanted to write was something more like Shiloh Village. I don't feel I succeeded there, but I'm happy with what I did get. So no, we don't have a person like that, but any design work that's being done in the old school team, rather than going to one person who's the keeper of the vision for the whole product, the team will review it and discuss it and attend brainstorming meetings to refine it, etc. Mostly steering based on community considerations. Obviously, we don't share all our lore ideas up front because we like being able to have surprises in quests, like in the Dragon Slayer one, where suddenly you discover that opening the vault is not the end of the story, and there was a whole thing in there that we hadn't told people about. We like to keep those things secret, but we also like to work off what we feel that players will be expecting and what will go well with players, even if it's not necessarily the story that might have been written otherwise. This seems to be serving us okay, given how the big quests like Monkey Madness 2 and Dragon Slayer 2 have gone, and also the smaller things where we unfold the lore of Zaya gradually through the 5 novice quests for the 5 houses, and of course Client of Koren. I see a Wise Old Man emote. I approve. Rayjam wants to know who does the lore and that they love Dragon Slayer 2 lore and read it all. Most of that was written by Ed. He had many conversations with many other members of the team about it as well. He also had long conversations with Paul Gower about it, because after all, he doesn't work here anymore and doesn't need to because he's got another job, and also he sold RuneScape for quite a lot of money. He's available and he drinks in the same local pub what we do, so we've had chats about lore possibilities in there. We know what he had in mind for the Dragon King all those years ago, and by and large we're running in that kind of direction. Now, TeoMK wants to know whether the design program you're using is heavily vector based.
Yeah, I think it will be.
Cool.
Yeah, yes. He'll know what that means.
Yay. Design Ralph wants to know if there's any more news on sea slugs and what other mods think about another slug quest. Well, we haven't had a big team gathering to just see what everyone thinks about it across the whole team, partly because we've got rather a lot of projects on at the moment, including a quest, so we're not trying to design a sea slug sequel at the moment. But I think everyone's quite keen to pursue the storylines that we've got, and it helps that I do happen to know what the original developer of Slug Menace had in mind, because he told me before he departed this Vale of Tears, and it wasn't a bad idea. I mean, some of the concepts mentioned in the dialogue with, I think, Servant possibly at the time, but I do know roughly what he had in mind. For what it's worth, he started working on Slug 3 before departing, and what he got were 2 very odd graphical assets made by the artists at the time. One of them was a cutscene he had made of 2 Fremniks arm wrestling, so that was going to be part of it, to pursue the Mother Malum. And another thing he got was a cutscene of the Temple Knights dungeon with an NPC, a human NPC, strapped to a board there with a burly Temple Knight just pounding on them quite vigorously, as a sort of debriefing torture scene, as the camera tracked back through the doorway away from this to reveal the player and another Temple Knight standing outside, and the player looking a little unhappy at why every time they hand somebody over to the Temple Knights this gets done to them, and the Temple Knight guard explaining, it's for the greater good, Saradomin wills it, we weren't here to be popular or nice, we're here to save the world, and helpful thoughts of that nature. So he got those assets made. When he left the company, we looked at what he got and whether it was, something we could turn into a releasable quest imminently, and found, those 2 assets, you can't make a quest out of that, especially as it doesn't even mention the Mother Malum, so it would have not been ideal as a sequel to Slug 2. But I know where he was going with these ideas, And I do believe we could make a quest, even if we did not use gratuitous graphical torture scenes or Fremnik arm wrestling.
It's a good job the graphics are quite bad.
Well, they tried quite hard. I mean, people might have seen in Morning's End Part 1 with the gnome strapped to the rack for torturing. I think we toned down what the developer originally wrote, where you would actually have to participate in torturing the gnome.
Wow.
Well, you needed some info out of him. I think in the version we released, ultimately you merely threaten him, and
Okay.
he's actually not too disinclined to help anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, we tried to shy away from making the player actually participate in, well, war crimes.
Yeah.
At least on purpose.
That's a good call.
Yeah. I mean, we've had that quest where you try and do some mundane favour and you end up causing the death of half the monarchy. Specifically, the young ones that everyone liked. So, yeah, we're not shy of having the player get in some nasty situations, but the aim is usually to make it redeemable.
Sure. You know how some fairy tales have some quite dark themes in them? Like,
God, yeah.
The same can be said for old school RuneScape by the sounds of it.
Sometimes they're even arbitrary, like in one of the Grimm fairy tales, for no apparent reason, the evil witch queen is defeated, at which point they bring in some red hot shoes and make her put them on and dance until she drops dead of wearing molten shoes. And I have no idea why that's in the story. It's just brought in us, so that's what they did at the end.
That's like some horrible Hansel and Gretel reference.
It's from the same kind of background, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, the Troll Stronghold parrot is mentioned because, of course, you need a fake man for the stew, I think, and you do it by getting a scarecrow and putting it with a talking parrot that's talking like a human, and thus the trolls are willing to believe, yeah, we've handed over a human for them to eat. I don't think the parrot comes out very well from it.
No.
Tommy Zima would like us to do more quests relating to runecrafting lore. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. I'd like that. Average Joe 1 would like more news about Group Iron Man mode. Well, that's not changed. As players have probably heard, to get that, we need some of the features that RS3's got in their engine. That's why they're able to poll these things now, and we are not. They've got 6 years of engine development that didn't exist in the old school game when it was brought out in 2013. Because, yeah, that's what 6 years gives you, more stuff. So, unfortunately, we don't have what they've got that makes it possible for them to do it. We hope to get it, because the demand is, obvious. And we think it would be rather good business, too. Unfortunately, while we can't do everything at the same time, and what we need at the moment is for the engine team to finish off mobile, something else that people are constantly asking for. So, the answer is no, we're not making progress on Group Iron Man in the background behind all that activity. What you see is pretty much what you get. We've got mobile, we've got from the engine team, we've got Theatre of Blood from most of the content developers, and also, and of course we've got Jed working on mobile as well, so that's another content developer down. That's why it's been a bit quiet for content just lately. We're sorry about that, but we hope that these substantial things will be worth it rather than constantly churning out bitty things week after week after week after week. And this particular one that we're seeing being modelled does look quite mint.
Thanks.
In terms of priorities after mobile, as Black Dragon 39 is asking, I'd have thought that's pretty darn high. But even if we can't get all the features programmed that players might like added to the system, in the meantime, the support team is doing what they can to try and block the problem at source that people have been having lately. And even if we can't get, everything people would like programmed, there are other ways of trying to address it, and that's what the support team is going to be working on. FN Pro points out, but $11? Well, Old School's been running for 5 years. Back in 2013, there were 3 of us in the team, 0 artists, 0 dev tools, almost no engine support, one content developer, one QA, one community guy, and since then the team is just over 6 times bigger. Look, we've got artists who have tools they can use to make new assets for the game rather than having to make every single thing be a repainted copy of something else.
We also have tools which are not made by us, which is very expensive.
Yep. And for all, we don't get all the engine support we'd like every time players have a great idea, or we can't deliver everything at once, but mobile is not writing itself. That's, well, infinitely more engine work than we were getting in 2013. So, in that time that the price has not gone up 6-fold, I do think that it's inevitable that over time prices will creep up, and you are getting a lot more than you were 5 years ago. I'm sorry that, you know, it's a bit of an imposition for you though, but even the price of, you know, groceries has changed over that kind of time. Inflation is a thing, and players do generally expect more than they were getting when, you know, we could release a minigame with no new graphical assets whatsoever because there's no alternative. Now this. As for why you're paying for RS3, well, membership is membership and it works on either version of the game. Obviously I love it when people play old school, but I don't begrudge people who want to play RS3 because, you know, there's 6 years of my code in that one as well. And at least one quest that I'm immensely proud of in the form of Love Story. So, you know, you were supporting the entire studio, and hopefully you're getting something in old school that you feel to be worth playing for. And if not, well, we'll try and get you more of what you do want. But we're never going to be able to deliver everything people want at any price, because, you know, we can find 1,000 player requests in a day just scanning the internet. There's never going to be a size of team that can deliver them all. Sorry. Troll Romance, says Timmy24. No, I didn't write that. That was a chap called Simon who, yeah, he came to work here for translation. One of the first of the German translators when RS3 was translated into German. He had a bit of downtime waiting for the engine side of things to be done for translation to go ahead. So in his spare time he learned a bit of RuneScript and wrote a quest. And it's a rather funny one, I loved that quest. Okay. ePrototype says, what about the ability to play both games at the same time? We would like that. Unfortunately, since the login systems and chat system were not designed to expect there to be 2 versions of the game running at the same time, changing it so that you can do both at once is unfortunately rather a large job to some of the most fundamental stuff we've got, like logging in and chatting. I don't think it's likely we're going to get that anytime soon. I'm sorry. So Tuxedo J says, we need a chat channel rework. Please see everything I've said for the last 5 minutes. Tommy Zemo asks, do we put out content quicker than RS3 because it doesn't have to be translated into 3 languages? Pretty much, we can do anything involving text faster than RS3 because it doesn't need to be translated. That also means that there's, well, when we're making a menu, we write the text on it and we know how big the text will be. In RS3, when they make a menu, they have to bear in mind that some French and German especially are longer words or longer sentences. Well, text is simply bigger, and you end up with a lot more very long words, especially in German. So they have to make menus that can resize themselves dynamically around how big the text might turn out to be. And the possibility one day it might end up translating into another language that's even bigger. So making a menu is a much bigger job in RS3, quite apart from needing to schedule time for localization to go through everything. I gather it's not just about the translating of the words, because, well, let's face it, you can get Babelfish or agency staff to do a rough translation of the words, but translating the meaning is a substantially bigger job with cultural references that may not always be obvious. Or if I write a sentence like, traps, very dangerous, you go first, people might realise that I'm using a phrase very similar to something said in Raiders of the Lost Ark, if you remember that film these days, because it's such a long time ago. But, you know, somebody translating it to another language might not realise that it's a reference to old English language film, so they might find the joke's not there, or they might need to try and make something that is, or find out what was said in the translated version of the movie, so they can get the cultural reference right as well. And there's a few things that we've done that haven't always translated well at all, like in Varrock, there's a bank, the West Bank, you knock on the door, it's got a knock option, and it makes you tell knock-knock jokes. And not every language has a tradition of those knock-knock jokes, so what they did in other languages, I genuinely do not know. Okay, Mass Dreams GT says, I'm wondering why there is no quests based on trees. It's something I'll never understand. Please play the Grand Tree quest. It's based on trees. Or a tree. It's a big tree. Okay. What else you got? Dorian Quirin 1996 wants to know if there's a way to talk to Jagex in other languages. I'm afraid I'm a bit limited for that myself. I don't know what language... I imagine you've picked up some Spanish along the way.
Very, very ropey Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can read a bit of French, but I wouldn't want to try and have a detailed conversation about anything important in it. Yeah. I know enough to, I don't know, order a beer. Because the French word for beer is bière.
John can speak French, can't you?
I am French.
He is French.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a French passport to prove it.
Cool.
That'll come in handy. Well, you know, free travel between here and continental Europe ain't going to be quite so easy in another year.
I've put it from my mind. I don't want to think about it.
Well. Oh, that's not good, asks, could we see a poll for new lectin in RPOH? Yes, we'd like to do that. We're not planning another qual poll right now, but it's something I would like. Oh, as DDYO suggests the word baguette. Yep, that's a word. Thank you. Lawrence LG wants to know my favourite thing about working for Jagex. It's gotta be the player interaction. Which might seem odd sometimes, but you know, when you do some work, if at the end of the day your manager will come by and pat you on the back and say, "Good boy, you did the work I asked you to do. Now do some more." That's, well, it's got its perks to it, and it might have, you know, real perks to it as well. But delivering something that goes in a game and is used by tens of thousands of players and hopefully makes them happy if we've got it right, that means more to me than anything my manager might say about it. So yeah, the chance to do cool stuff to RuneScape and engage with players about it. Valfian asks about death mechanics. Not the first question I've seen about it either. Yeah, there was one a bit earlier up the chat about in Deep Wilderness where your items turn into a pittance number of coins. There's a lot we'd like to change about death mechanics. We ran the survey in a recent blog a few weeks back now. Got a lot of answers about it too. What we were doing at the time was pitching a new potential design we could use to see what players thought about it. It's a bit like the gravestones used by Vorkath and bits of Dragon Slayer 2, apart from Vorkath as well, and the Gargoyle bosses and Zulrah, except with a time limit, so that you would be challenged to get back to roughly where you died, to collect your items from that area. And if you don't get there in time, then yeah, you've got the risk of losing them. And if you do get there in time, you'd still be expected to pay a fee, so that you've lost something by dying. If that goes through, and I don't actually know what the survey responses were like, by the way, because there were like tens of thousands of the things, and the guy who went off to read them ain't come back yet. That would give some actual risk to death for a change, rather than being pretty much guaranteed that you can collect everything for an hour. We need some handling for Ultimate Iron people, of course, because while we didn't go into much detail in the concept we laid out, we know that they depend very heavily on death mechanics being as they are, and we would aim to sort them out something so that they don't have their metas, well, they might change, but we'd aim to at least make them viable. So that's what we've been thinking about for death. May not happen, might be people would rather keep the status quo. The thing we wouldn't offer is to bring back exactly what we had before, where people's items were visible on the ground to loot, and after 2 minutes they all vanished anyway. That's, well, pretty darn harsh. And the looting thing was a problem for us, because, you know, people try and cause disconnections and attack the world for a bit, see everyone drop dead around you, immediate profit. We're not offering that. It's just too much of an incentive to attack the game worlds. And even though we've got a rather better protection system than we had in 2013 through 15, no point in just asking for trouble, especially as you don't tend to win an arms race, realistically. So we wouldn't go exactly where we were before, but we would like there to be more risk. And of course, if we were making that kind of change, we could also revisit what happens in Deep Wilderness, where things are turning into, you know, a tiny pile of coins, which ain't really worth it. Jalzek says just give you gravestones. You know, these things would work a lot like a gravestone. The Orson remembers getting rune legs from a dude that disconnected at the waterfall fire giants back in the day. Yeah, I myself got quite a lot of rune from somebody who died. It wasn't a disconnection, they just went to fight Desus and didn't know how to handle Desus, and didn't realise that Desus would follow them through the swamp and keep killing them as they ran away. So my first trip to try and kill Desus, I didn't get to Desus because I suddenly found I'd found full rune and went off to the bank with it. Well, I also added him to see if he turned up on chat and I could, you know, offer him his stuff back. Couldn't find him. Oh well. Tristan AUS says they used to lure noobs to Lumbridge Cave and take their items when they died. What a nice person. Dan Dayon Wright asks, what are the chances of getting your question answered? Well, that's happened. Maybe ask something about the game, that'll be even better. Let's see. Mass Dreams GT wants to know who made the music for Old School. Most of the music in the game, about 500 tracks worth, was written by Mod Ian and Mod Bond and various other audio staff over the years 2004 through 2007. In the 5 years Old School's been running, we've got more tracks. There have been some from Mod Ian. I think he did the ones for the Monkey Quest. And also some of the music for raids. He did the Olm track, Fire in the Deep, which is great, and the Upper Depths track, I think that was one of his. And Mod Bond, who's sadly no longer with Jagex, but he's still active on Twitter, and you can send me compliments if you can find him. He wrote, I think, the Wintertodt track, Fire and Ice and Fire, which is one of my favourites. I've got a few tracks in there as well, about 20 or so in total these days. Because, of course, when Old School started, we didn't have much access to the audio team. And Old School's got bigger, and more players, and the audio team is I think it's got bigger as well, in fact. So now we're able to get stuff from them, and they're writing a lot of music for the Theatre of Blood. We're hoping that one of the audio staff will be able to join us on next week's live stream, in fact, so you can see them for yourself and, well, look at the mind behind the music and maybe hear some of the music. We were hoping to get it for this week, but it's a bit too short notice to get somebody available for hours live streams, so next week more likely.
I'd really like that.
All right, Andre, questions about seeing tracks. Well, I recall it going down rather well when Mod Ian wrote the Scape 5 track for our 5th birthday, and we just showed the a video recording of the tool and the what it's got inside the editor as the track was played in real time, which went down rather well, as I recall. We'd like to do the same again, but maybe not spend that much time making a video just for, you know, some background music that's going to be used in the Theatre of Blood on this occasion. Okay, Andrew Oliver wants to know why some of the American worlds are so dead. As I recall, we took a lot of the American worlds offline for maintenance today, which would certainly inhibit people trying to use them if that's still going on. I haven't been checking on the progress, but it will say on the website, the support section of the website, if there's anything going on there. Libro97 wants a Korend diary. Yeah, we expect to do, well, not just the corner of the continent that is Korend, we expect to do one for the entire continent out there. But not while the continent is so incomplete. Because if we do one for the chunk of land that is there now, and then finish off the terrain with the rest of the content that's due there, like the Kingdom of Varlamore, in which we've got some designs for, get you thinking about that, then of course that area would not be included in the diary, so it would be a bit silly. So we do intend to do it, but not just yet. Josh Rika wants to know the first piece of content I worked on. Well, long time ago. The Wise Old Man, I think. Certainly he'd be one of the first things I did. I was told we'd like more NPCs in the newbie area for people to talk to and learn about the game. Make a Wise Old Man. Specifically, the comments in the job said, as described by Jung, using one of the archetypes. Wise seer who knows things, prefers to stick to the standard explanation that there are 3 gods. Saradomin is the good one, Guthix is the neutral one, Zamorak's the bad one. You should worship Saradomin, and get uncomfortable if you start talking about Zaros or Armadil or any of the other ones. Although he knows all about them, he just doesn't want to talk about them. That was the instruction, and they said, oh, maybe you can make him give out little tasks that give the player some runes or coins as a reward or something. That's why I did this, but we got some graphics for it, and with Wise Man, they put a telescope in his house, and it happens to be pointing at the window. And Paul Gowler, going through the content to check it, to see whether my design was okay, said, why has he got a telescope pointing at the bank? Looks like he's trying to rob it or something. So based on that completely random comment, we came up with the idea of saying, okay, he is planning to rob the bank. Let's make him a right dodgy git, and maybe have an update in future where he does rob the bank. And from that point, the Wise Old Man stopped being any kind of archetype. I just became a sort of anti-hero who, well, later did indeed rob the bank, and is a bit, well, sassy in whatever dialogue he got in later quests. The thing I've mostly aimed to preserve is that he's well up himself, and he is very wise, and no one knows it better than he does. But I thoroughly enjoyed writing Love Story, where you've got to solve his problem in the form of his psycho ex-girlfriend that he can't solve for himself. Anywho. Vigilant RS says, if we know he did it, why has there been no punishment for his crimes? Well, in Love Story, which Old School hasn't got, it does come back to bite him slightly, that the bank has been keeping track on him and alerting the Wizard's Tower of his apparent plans to go there and rob it. And, well, that doesn't go too well for him. But the wise old man usually comes out on top one way or another, like in last year's Christmas event, which was themed around the wise old man filling in for Santa. And he gets a bit dodgy in that as well. At the end of which, no, it doesn't work out quite how he planned it, but his explanation is that Santa filled his house with coal, because that's what Santa does when you're bad, and he sold it on the GE and got even more money, so he's happy. But technically, it was meant to be a comeuppance. Recognition wants to know, why don't we add Love Story to Old School? The thing about Love Story is that, like any piece of content, it's got a lot of graphics in it, and you know, all the things that we haven't got in Old School, like, you know, the animated dummy you use and the special spells and the environment. There's a lot of graphics went into Love Story, even if it was a relatively cheap quest. And the code isn't exactly a copy and paste job either, because our code base does not exactly match RS3's in a plug and play way. So we'd be at it for a very long time, at the end of which you get a quest that people have already played, and you do it once, and that's the end of it. In RS3 at least you get the ability to redirect your teleport tablets, but Old School's got that already, so it wouldn't be a very big gain for all that dev work. Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah.
I've been sent down.
Hello, welcome. Anyway, so we're broadcasting at the moment, and yeah. What's your mod name again, please?
Kira.
Mod Kira has come to join us. I guess we'll be seeing Mod Kira on the live stream in about 10 minutes. So, Inverted Looks wants to know, will Old School see voice implementation in quests or music? Sort of. We're using MIDI here, but we are able to define new instruments. So, Mod Ian spent a while working with a, professional singer, getting more voice samples from her voice so that we can use it as a new instrument. And it will sound, well, really quite unique, I would think, if it goes to plan. Which means that some of the vocal noises in the music for Theatre of Blood will be, unique and very atmospheric. But we can't use, a long recorded piece of music, sadly. That's not something Old School supports at this time. Dayum Wright says, unique? MIDI? Yes.
Do you have any technical understanding of how you managed to translate an actual human voice into MIDI?
Well, our MIDI uses samples of different instruments playing different notes. Some processing to get notes that weren't recorded. Some is just playing the samples in the right order. You can imagine that if we recorded somebody playing all the notes on a piano individually and then played them back in the order of a piece of music, it would sound a bit like the piano playing the music.
Sure.
Wouldn't be as smooth as, I don't know, a real pianist who can play fluid notes. But you can get you can at least get something that sounds like the music out of it, especially if the music's, if it were Baroque or something, then you'd probably be not far off. Whereas if you wanted something more emotional, or very fluid piece of Chopin, maybe not so good.
Yeah.
But if you can do that with a piano, you can imagine doing it with a human voice and get him to sing a lot of notes and then play the ones you want in the order you want.
Makes perfect sense now you said that.
Yeah, like Eric Morecambe said a long time ago, I am playing all the right notes. I may not be playing them all in the right order.
Boy, the amount of times my dad used to quote that when I was a kid.
Funny thing is that in that sketch, Morecambe is in fact playing. It's not even playing the notes in the wrong order. He's just playing the right tune in totally the wrong style and a different key.
Right, so he is actually playing something that resembles the original.
Yeah, only it's I think it's like he's playing it in a major key rather than the minor with a kind of cha bass line.
Okay.
Which is not quite what Grieg had in mind for the great Grieg piano concerto by Grieg. Sorry, this is a rather obscure cultural reference for the 21st century, maybe, but if you ever look at Morecambe and Wise Grieg, it's a great sketch on YouTube. Okay, YY Pro says, Boss Kill Count high scores, it's 2018 and web design is cheap. Web design may be cheap. Getting the web team's programmers to have the time to implement it, on the other hand, that's not so cheap. Sorry. So, Caracol wants to know what happened with the World 47 massacre. We've got a statement out about this one on already from the support team, but you know there's been some world maintenance going on today. All the worlds on the east side of America being taken offline for most of the day. To prepare for that, all the unique themes that weren't offered elsewhere, we wanted to move them to other worlds. So one of the teams set out to move World 45 Deadman to World 47. Now, the procedure we usually use for this is to shut down the affected worlds, update the settings of them, and then bring them online again. Unfortunately, the operator who was enacting this didn't realise why it was necessary to do it that way, and tried sending out the updated world settings along with a reboot that was meant to arrive at about the same time, so that the world would reboot just as it got the new settings and boot up with new settings. And unfortunately, the new settings arrived 2 minutes before the reboot happened. This meant that the world got some attributes of a Deadman world 2 minutes early, and one of the attributes of a Deadman world is death. Everywhere, lots of death. Now, we only identified from the data trawling 3 players who'd legitimately suffered this. We saw a lot of other screenshots, by the way, but the people who said, here's me dying unfairly due to the World 47 incident, but their screenshot doesn't show a countdown timer, means it wasn't taken during that incident, so that's not necessarily legit. And the ones that didn't even have the special attack orb, that was definitely not taken recently. But the support team did find 3 people who were legitimately affected, and they've been looking at exactly what the accounts lost. Because while we have never been able to track down everything people lose unfairly so as to return items, they can see the XP, and they can give a lot of membership as a genuine apology, and try to get the XP, maybe even get something sorted out of the XP if possible. You can imagine it's rather easier to track XP loss than it is item loss, because, well, it's not like you're going to slip the XP to your mate and get it back again once Jagex has reimbursed you when you claimed there'd been a bug. And we can really see the numbers a lot more effectively. Turned out, of course, that well, the support team was at least able to do this and has been in touch with the main player who was affected. Hopefully that's going to sort them out all right, and we've redocumented the process for moving world flags so that operators are not going to run into this again. We are, of course, extremely sorry that it happened, and we've done what we can to make it right for the affected players. Akara wants to know what we think about a superior Hellhound monster. Something with 2 heads to fit in well with the base Hellhound and Cerberus. Well, I guess that does fit between 1 head and 3 heads.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And if you take it any further, a good number above 3 would be pi.
I'm not sure if I get the reference.
Pi is a number that's slightly bigger than 3.
Okay, alright, cool.
75JMO93 bets that I am sipping on a wine cooler right now. I wish, but no, I merely have tea. Anywho, Third Eye's Chakra wants to know whose fault was it, Ash, name and shame. The answer is, I'm not offering that info, I'm sorry, but you'll have to send your outrage to the team as a whole, rather than asking me to publicly shame a member of staff who was trying to do a very complicated process in rather difficult circumstances under time pressure, and made an honest error. So, no. Josh Rika wants to know what is my mathematical knowledge extent. Well, I've got 2 A-levels in it, and since I did a degree in material science, you end up covering a bit of maths at uni as well. But if you want maths, you want Kieran. He's got an actual degree, first class, in mathematics, and is probably the best mathematician available to us. Game of Thrones asks BTEC. I don't have one of those, sorry. Okay. Ash, unrelated to RuneScape, asks P. Johnston, what is my favourite Beatles song? Eleanor Rigby. Yep. A Third Eye Chakra, honest error just like the Gmaul bug, hahaha. You know, I made the Gmaul bug, and I'm sorry about that. It took us a very long time to find it, because frankly, it wasn't obvious to us that the Gmaul would act that way with deferrable queues being processed the way they were by the engine at that particular time. It was not quite consistent with how RuneScape had behaved in 2007, and wasn't consistent with RS3's handling of it either. The engine team has very obligingly changed how stackable queues work in that kind of way, and we've learned not to use queues in that way to let them stack up like that, so hopefully there'll be no more troubles like that. Anywho, Far Too Noble wants to know RuneScape Mobile when. We don't have a date for that, but the betas have gone well. Existing players are generally able to operate the game just fine, although there's a lot of usability issues they're working around, and awkward things like, you know, the iPhone 10 with the bit sticking into the screen at odd places. We're not finished with the handling for that yet, and we've got some trouble with head-up displays as well. But broadly speaking, a lot of it is looking like it's almost, well, usable by an expert player who knows how to work around awkward things, which covers a lot of you, so that's great. We wouldn't be able to call it a full launch, not as it currently stands, but we are hoping that we'll be able to get to a point in the not too distant future where there can be a public beta, maybe not everyone at first, but bigger than the last betas we've run, to getting to the point where we'll be able to let all the general public use it, all of you, and carry on polishing it to the point where we can call it a full launch. Anyway, keep an eye on the website, our website, not whatever links pop up on Facebook, please, to see any announcements about that. Anyway, I think it would be time to head over to the couch for the Q&A. I think I've said quite a lot, and now I'll go over to the couch, sit there, and maybe say some more stuff. Anyway, I'll head over now. Perhaps Mod Ghost would like to finish off talking about Sotetseg for a bit.
That's cool. Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, so I've pretty much done most of the walk animation for this. I'll do a few tweaks throughout the dev Q&A, but without any further ado, we say ado, I think, yeah. I will hand you over to the dev Q&A now.